Okay, good evening, everybody. It is, oh my god, it's June the 8th. It was a beautiful day down here today. Spent some time in the yard working on the old laptop, cleaned off some of the yard furniture. Oh my god, what a day it was. Thank you for joining me. It is Scouching Live. I'm the host, Will, of the program. We're down to the last couple of weeks here. We got 2 more weeks until draft week. And only the keen-eyed among you might notice this, but if you didn't, that's okay. And if you did, then good for you. We have scheduled all of the shows that are going to be coming on draft week. So Monday night, we're going to be doing the community mock draft. Registration is open for Scouching subscribers now. We are doing we're doing the rankings release Tuesday that week at noon or 2 p.m. Eastern. 2 p.m. Eastern. We're having a little party. We're gonna have a little party Thursday night. See if any friends of ours will pop up and make an appearance for a Thursday night little shindig. Friday the draftathon, obviously 6:30 Eastern time that day, and then 9:30 in the morning the next day. We're doing day 2. We'll be there the whole time, and then the Monday after, we're doing a recap show. So obviously we're still doing the recap video series and the pyramid series and everything, but we'll just, take a breather, and Monday night afterwards, just talk through whatever's going on there. And depending on how the work is going and everything, we'll do a free agency day. That hasn't been scheduled, but go to the YouTube channel and set your reminders for all of those events. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're planning on we'll see. We're planning on having some fun. Anything else to do? Scouting report tomorrow. We got Tommy Blyle coming out tomorrow. That's scheduled for release. That's gonna be a fun one. We've got Wednesday is gonna be Wyatt Cullen, and Friday is gonna be Ryan Lynn, and then you can probably put 2 and 2 together for next week of who the last ones will be. But anyway, yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else. Again, if you haven't registered yet for the mock draft and you're a subscriber of the show, the link is in the Discord server. Again, the mock draft is a 3-round thing we do. 32 people join, 31 and myself, and we do 3 rounds live on the show Monday night, so it's going to be fun. I've officially stopped the tracking. I've stopped the tracking, and I've stopped... really, I'm just going through my notes and going through my video now and finalizing everything and getting the list down and really making sure I really want to be putting my name next to the things I'm putting my name next to. It's exciting. So the list on the screen is not a finalized ranking if you're watching the regular show, or I guess it is in the shorts, right? Yeah, it is. So if you're watching that, this isn't totally finalized, but it's probably awfully close. So deal with it if you don't like it. But no, we're having fun. I'm excited for this year. I'm really excited for the draft this year. It's going to be a ton of fun. I have no idea what is going to happen. I don't think anybody has any idea of what's going to happen except the people involved. It just has been pretty funny. And also the draft simulator is getting some great use. We're going to be doing a blog post as well the last week before the draft, just sort of throwing some thoughts out there using the data from that all of the users have been so kind to provide anonymously. I must say anonymously. I have no idea who any of you are unless you have an account, but in terms of the actual data for the draft results, I don't know who is who. But it is really funny because there are definitely people out there who have takes that almost nobody else has, and I can tell. So if you're those people, I don't know who you are, but God bless you, because I love seeing that kind of thing. There's one player in particular, someone really likes them, and like 12 times they've drafted this player at the exact same draft slot. So a fan of one team has one person that no one else seems to really care about, and they're like, yes, we're drafting this player in the exact same spot every time. I love that. So good. Excellent. Okay, well, anyway, let's see what we got here. Let's see what's going on. Welcome to the show, I guess is what I'm getting at here. Thoughts on the anonymous scouts take on Gavin McKenna and scouts poll that EP did? Well, I mean, look, I think it's all completely accurate. I've actually been very surprised at. I mean, again, we've made fun of Reddit on this show before, but I have been very surprised at just how dismissive and ignorant Leaf fans are in the world of Reddit there about Gavin McKenna and everything. And they saw that article and they're like, nope, screw it, you draft him anyway. Screw it, you draft him anyway. And I'm like, oh man, like, they're not wrong. These people are not wrong. And we've been through this song and dance before, my friends, and it didn't go very well. But no, I mean, if you don't know, if you haven't seen it, there was notes from the combine that scouts were putting out there and all that stuff. And obviously McKenna was the one that everybody sort of latched onto because scouts were pointing out Gavin McKenna maybe not being the biggest playoff performer and maybe not the, not the savior of a franchise, so to speak, or potentially not. And I'm also stalling for time so I can pull up the thing here. Yeah, here it is. I obviously I won't show the whole article here. But look, here's the thing. It's another bit of evidence, and I'm pointing this out because I am arrogant to a certain extent, and I'm proud of my own abilities. There's a lot in here that I've been saying for a very long time, and people don't like it. The fact that there are, one scout said that there are 6 or 7, we need to leave that one behind. Last episode was episode 6, 7. We got it out of our system. But he says, I'm assuming it's a he, because, hockey. But anyway, this person says 6 or 7 people are all at the top. And I agree. I don't agree with the group, but I do think that it is one of those draft years. I think it's very easy. We look back on this and go, yes, I think that there's a lot of good players and you could have gone a number of different directions and gotten whatever out of whoever, right? And I mean, I think that I think McKenna and Stenberg have pulled away in terms of what they are today as like the best players available. Sorry, I have to respond to asinine nonsense in my own Discord server for a millisecond here. Yeah, so I think it's those two guys kind of pulling away. They said 5, 6, 6, 7 is on you. That's not true. I'm looking at the quote. I'm looking at it right here. There are 6, 7 guys for me. They are all very close, and I just said it again. Anyway, someone also said there's 9, adding Viggo Bjork and Daxon Rudolph to that. Not sure I would agree with that, but go off. I mean, I think, though, one scouting director, so a director, said that McKenna's the most talented player in the draft, but is he the most likely to win a championship? That's what we're talking about in our meetings. That is a fair point. And that is very interesting because the fact that they're saying that's what we're talking about, a team that's good and has no shot at the first overall pick or second or third is not, who cares? Why would they care? So the fact that this person specifically says we're talking about it in our meetings makes me think that it's a team at the top. And again, I've said this before, a couple of people, not just one, a couple of people have said the word slide with Gavin McKenna. Now, I think the combine will show and solidify things in some way. We haven't heard anything either way, but I mean, I'm still expecting him to be a Toronto Maple Leaf at the end of the day. And I already saw the comment. We're going to get to it about how he's back at 1 again on my list, and we'll talk about it. Don't worry. But I mean, look, like this has been the criticism of McKenna forever. A veteran scout. He's an excellent player in the middle of the season. You'll see highlight reel plays, 4 or 5 point nights, but when things are tough, and he's the guy you're leaning on, our guys would be excited to play against him. Like, that's always been my thing, is when you look at the draft and the value and everything, how long is the list of ways that you can counter a player, right? Especially at 5-on-5. Because if it's the power play, Gavin McKenna will have no problem. There's going to be no issue. yeah, like, and I get the feeling that McKenna will be a certain type of player that has his ups and has his downs. That's always been the way. Yeah, exactly. Like this other scout, he's got to be one of the most unusual prospects I've ever seen. You can't find him some nights, and he's frustrating, but the talent is freakish. But then other nights he can not try and have 3 points. Like that's exactly the type of player that he is. But it is like he has a special ability about him. There is special skill level and special talent there. It makes it really hard to ignore. But I get the feeling that McKenna will be the guy for Toronto. But I bet that it would not shock me at this point to see them go a different direction. But it would also, I'd be kind of surprised. It wouldn't shock me, but I would be surprised. Just because I feel like he plops right into the lineup right away in a clear, raw job that he would thrive in, and pretty quickly. It's just, again, when the going gets tough, that's the ultimate thing with him. And we'll see what happens. But I mean, look, I saw a bunch of games at the end of the season this year for him in Penn State, and he came and went. I'll say that he came and went, and like there are certain areas of his game, and the report that's coming out next week will go through it. But there are parts of his game that are genuinely problematic that he's got to be willing to work on. And if I get an inkling that he's not willing to work on it, and he's like, no, what do I care? I'm not going to, why? I'm sick. Why would I, who are you to tell me what to do, right? Then I'm like, all right, I don't know about that. But I don't know. Like, I also feel like in this draft, I've said this before too, but like you could probably get a lot of stuff if teams were really looking at him and going, well, we'll take him if you don't want him. I don't know. But yeah, like, again, like a lot of this is like teams are, yeah. Okay, I mean, this one's really funny. Another scout was more direct. People talk about this guy like he's a slam dunk to go 1-2. Oh, sorry, this is about Stenberg. He was in everybody's top 5 like William Eklund, then he goes 7. I mean, I feel like San Jose's feeling okay about having William Eklund at 7. And they loved him, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, I mean, there's some interesting stuff in here. One executive still having Verhoff at 1 is really fun. Like, this is what I mean. Like, imagine there was a person out there who posted a ranking with Keaton Verhoff at 1. People would lose their minds, but here's an actual NHL executive being like, he's number 1 on my list. Reminds me of Aaron Ekblad. Tell me something I haven't heard before. I like the phrase, his brain is so. Like, tell me about it, man. My own brain is so. I deal with that every day. But the other thing too that I also have to highlight is that there are some people who were interviewed for this where I'm just reading their stuff and I'm like, facts, spit, man, spit. Like defending Verhoff in college. People will beat him up for a year in college for how he was, but if he was back in the WHL, he would have had the years like Carson Karels and Dax and Rudolph did without question, especially when you consider his production a year ago. He'd still be in conversation for the first defenseman off the board. You think? Let's see what else is in here. I think McKenna goes 1, and then the conversation for Schmidt starts at 2. I have Schmitz at 1. There's another one. Reminds me of Moritz Seider. He's not as physical, but he's detailed, competitive, can move pucks. Not wrong. And then there's another one. I don't see the hype with him. He's a good player, but he's very vanilla with the puck. And I'm sorry. If you think Albert Schmitz is vanilla with the puck, I don't know what to tell you. Because he is, if he's an ice cream flavor, he certainly ain't vanilla. That is a wild thought, but also I'll tell you this, right? I just scrolled down to the Carson Karels section. This is a guy you win with. Such a detailed, smart, all-around defenseman. In my opinion, when you're talking about a top end guy in a draft class and the words detailed and all around are used, those are the ones that I get scared about. That I think that's just a trend in the text analysis of Scout Talk, where they go, well, he's good at a lot of stuff and he's detailed, right? I go, okay. And then on the other hand, it's like, oh, like this guy's so dynamic and such a high-end skater, and they're articulating specific things about their game where they're like, this is what is special about them. And then so when you turn around and go, or you could draft the guy who's detailed and poised and does a lot pretty well. It's like, okay, as a WHL defenseman, if that's your takeaway, then that's a question mark to me. But some people don't agree. Detailed, smart, all-around defenseman. I questioned how much offense he has, especially coming into the season, but he had a monster year and elevated in big moments. It's like, I don't know if that's entirely true, but he did blow everyone's expectations away when it came to production. I just think that it's a bit of a different story than you can't ignore it anymore. I think you just have to dig into it a little bit. The Daxon Rudolph thing, here it is again. He's poised, smart, and patient. I think his game can be sleepy, but he will be a great NHL defenseman. To me, I go, why? How? Does that make sense? Like, show me a defenseman drafted in the top 10 of an NHL draft class where a scout goes, he's sleepy. Like, if someone said that a Swedish defenseman were sleepy, they'd be a 4th round pick. You know what I mean? Like, is this what we're doing? We're going to a top 10 pick and being like, he's sleepy, but he's poised. Someone draft that man, right? I don't know. I don't know about that. A lot of people loving Malte Gustafsson. I saw the clip of I think it was Corey Pronman talking about Tynan Lawrence and how he got grilled. Like, again, I just can't believe the storyline going on with this guy. It's getting to the point where I want to hug the guy, right? Like, the fact that an executive quoted to The Athletic what a disastrous decision it was for him going to college. I'm sorry, but that's ridiculous. Like, that's a ridiculous statement to make. Like, nothing makes me more annoyed in this world than the fact that we believe that this sport is for the men of all men. It's for the toughest of the tough, the strongest of the strong, for the athletes who do the things that other sports athletes just do not do. And then it's like a kid comes along who is born in August, so he's going to turn 18 in August, and he goes halfway through the year after being injured at the start of the year. A player that people some had him at 1 at the beginning of the year. For good reason. After the Holinka Gretzky Cup, for good reason. He was outstanding in that tournament. And then he decides, I'm going to challenge myself. I'm going to go to a school that is not having the best season. They're going to plot me in the top 6 as a center at 17 years old in a pretty tough conference on a team that is struggling with a defense group that cannot move the puck. And it's like, and so now we're penalizing him for it, where it's like, oh, what a disastrous decision. Like, to me, I just look at that and I go, all right, fine, don't take him. I will. Like, it's like, it would have been so easy for him to score 40 goals in the USHL and nobody cares. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't understand how we live in a world where it's like, man, this farm boy from Western Canada, what a great kid. Like, tough as they come. He milks cows on a Sunday afternoon after church because that's just the type of guy he is. But then it's like, okay, but he plays junior hockey at the weakest point it's been in a long time. And then a kid is like, I want to challenge myself. I want to go to college early and do a thing that very few players do. And because he doesn't hit the ground running, everyone's like, well, now you're bad. What a bad choice that was. Like, I just don't think you can do that. Like, this person, it follows up immediately. He was in the conversation for us at 1 in the fall. Now I'm not even confident he goes in the top 10. If him going to college and not hitting the ground running is what puts him out of your top 10 when he would be in grade 12 otherwise, normally. If that's what does it for you, I don't know what to tell you. Like, that must in your head trigger something. Either Like, what was it about him in the fall that you were so wrong about? And how do you know that there are other players that play at that junior hockey level that don't showcase the same problems? Because if you're going to criticize Tynan Lawrence for certain things in his game, which I think you can, you better be but then you have Daxon Rudolph, a sleepy, poised defender in your top 10. I don't know what to tell you. Right? Like, the college level exposed some parts of his game. He's very fast and competitive, but he doesn't make complex plays. How many complex plays are we seeing in the Stanley Cup final? Right? Mitch Marner is just grabbing the puck, going into the offensive zone, flipping it into the middle of the ice, and someone else finishes for him. What's the complexity in that? Like, in my opinion, in the Stanley Cup playoffs, in the Stanley Cup playoffs, I don't see complexity as an advantage. If anything, complexity is a problem. Look at the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Toronto Maple Leafs were built on complexity. That was the whole model, right? I just look at it and I go, that guy will move heaven and earth to win you a hockey game. He will get the puck in tough spots where you need it to go. It may not be pretty, but he will do it. And I can show you. The A-B difference in my tracked game sample between him and Macklin Celebrini is like bam, 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 all the way down except for slot pass volume. Celebrini put the puck to the slot a little bit more, about 15% more often to 20%. I don't remember specifically. But like pretty much across the board, it is just equal. Bam, bam, bam. Same team, same age, same level, same position. Bam, 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 all the way down. Now, I'm not saying that they're the same type of player or the same level of player, but I'm just saying, like, you got to think about the way you're framing these things. Like, that's what really bothers me. Especially, yeah, like I think that there's again, like there are other people who are saying the same thing but on the opposite spectrum. They're more on my side. They're overthinking it too much based on one rush decision to go to college. He looks like Larkin the way that he plays. His skating is outstanding. I agree. Like, he kind of does remind me a little bit of that type of a player. Like, is Dylan Larkin the most complex player in the league? No, because he doesn't have to be. But would you want him on your team? Yeah, probably. I mean, yeah. He's a dog. Yeah, like I don't know. I think it's just like you gotta like look at a guy like Tommy Blyle. He's going to college, not next year, but the year after. He'll be a freshman in college when Tynan Lawrence is a junior. Like, do you not think that that's a bit of an advantage? I mean, I know that like one is still likely to go ahead of the other, but like one is almost a year younger, about 8 months, 9 months younger, a pregnancy younger, and is going to be in college in his third season when that other one is going to be in his freshman year. I see it as very obvious to me as a guy where it's like, yeah, he may not score 100 points in the NHL. I don't expect it. But he also did score quite a lot in the USHL. Like, he could have scored 40 goals this year. And then at the end of the day, you could have him in the playoffs and go, boy, we play this guy and we really seem to win. Like, we seem to be, he doesn't seem to score a ton, but when he's on the ice, we're not getting scored on and we're getting some chances and, maybe this guy's kind of valuable. like it just is weird to me. Anyway, we don't need to talk about this. I agree on Wyatt Cullen. I think in a few years we'll be talking about him as the best player in the draft. It's possible. I think it's possible. I do think people are quickly starting to refuse to gloss over the actual problems that are there. Like, I know, yeah, like someone else said his habits are concerning. He can be one way and try too much. That is absolutely a fact. So yeah, I don't know, but it's good. I mean, the poll is the poll with Cam Robinson is actually really cool. I'm glad he's doing it. I'll pull it up on the list here so you can see it. But like by and large, it's kind of what I expect. to be honest. I'm surprised Ryan Lynn is that high, to be honest. That one surprises me. Not because I have a problem with it, but like it surprises me that teams are looking at that as an option. But like Dagenais is an interesting one. Klepov, Hurlbert, Rock back to back is interesting. But I mean, I would say that past Hermansen, outside of Novotny, and like Novotny, Villeneuve, and Preston, I would say beyond the middle of the first round here are the only ones where I'm like, those are easy picks. If this is how it goes, if this top 17 is how it goes, and it's, Hemming, Suvanto, Hermansen, and these guys are all left, I'm going, well, those are the easy picks. But other than that, I get why you would want all of these guys ahead of some of the guys that I have at the end of the first round. I just think it's that type of year. Like, I have Brooks Rogowski at the end of my second round, middle of my second round. But if you wanted him at the late first and some of the guys ranked ahead of him here, like Preston, Villeneuve, Novotny, all those guys are gone, you could convince me. You could convince me. But yeah, it's interesting. Very interesting. It's going to be a fun year. Do you think Gavin McKenna can survive Diamond Jim? Nobody can survive Diamond Jim. Nobody can. Caught you on the Doodle Hockey Pod. Yeah, Doodle and I are friends, man. We're pals. We go way back. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can go subscribe to his YouTube channel, Doodle Hockey, and yeah, we've done a few things together, and it's fun. Yeah, he's a good time. He's given me good pointers on my YouTube channel management as well. So yeah, check it out. It's cool. Any interesting things you were told by people at the combine? Not really. I mean, people are pretty tight-lipped at this time of the year. At least to me, for good reason. Right? I think I get it. Whatever. It's usually like July when people can kind of breathe a little bit, obviously for obvious reasons, like the chips have fallen, and that's kind of it. And that's what I really look forward to is like the post-draft euphoria of information that pops out, and so that's always fun. But no, nothing really. To be honest, though, I haven't been digging too hard. I don't like digging too hard with people I know. Don't think it comes off very well. But also, I was very busy all weekend with a project, so I couldn't really be annoying. I would have loved to go to the combine, though. I legally wouldn't have been able to go this year because I don't have a passport right now, or I do now, but it came in on Friday. So hopefully next year. I would love to go next year and get a press pass and cover it, because I think that would be a lot of fun, and I think we would have a lot of fun. You watched any Zayden whatever that last name is he the next Wayne Gretzky? Probably. I've never heard of him. Yeah, sure. Georgetown Raiders legend. Okay. Hey, he's from around these parts. Nice. Cool. Good for him. All right, he's elite. If he comes from this area of Southern Ontario, the Hamilton, Milton, Cambridge area, he's fine by me. Is it Georgetown? Yeah, Georgetown. Guelph. Fun. Anything on the shorts? No. Who dis? Who dis is it's your face. Which player injury was revealed during the combine and thoughts about your season? I remember you talking about it on social media. It was Villeneuve. Villeneuve was saying that he's fighting something nagging him all year. And so like during the season watching Villeneuve, especially in the playoffs, it really was he was a completely different player, and I think there's a ton of evidence for that. I think there was a ton of evidence for that. It seemed very weird. And actually, I forget who it was, and I tried to dig it up. I forget who it was, so if it's someone I know and they're watching and they want credit, I apologize. But someone said that someone from that team reached out and was like, he wasn't hurt. He was just playing bad. We did not think it was very fun. And that made me a little scared, because it was like, so he kind of was playing like he couldn't care less, I guess. Like he committed to BU and was shutting off the taps, and That would be a little annoying, and that would be a little frustrating and a little strange. But then it's like, oh no, I've been fighting injury all year. So now I'm like, well, what is happening here? So, I mean, look, I guess it would put him in the case study of do your medical work, medical checkups on him and see what's there. But look, I think he's one of the most special players in the class. I would not hesitate to add him pretty quick. And if he's a second round pick because of injury concerns or something, then I can understand that. But I wouldn't. I would be more than happy to take the risk on him at some point. What are your thoughts on Yelize Riebeacon? Big fan. We like him over in the Scouching Discord server. Mark Doherty. Shout out to him. He's on X, I think, or something. He who said there was no injury? It was someone with the team. Like someone with Blainville was like, nope, he was just really bad. So someone is either lying or not telling or something. There's an incomplete truth somewhere. Or it's a little bit of everything. I don't know. But Villeneuve seems like, and he was playing like he was hurt. And I think he specifically said it was his hip that was bothering him. And my Discord members will support me on this. When we were watching a playoff game of him together, or bits of a playoff game of his together, I said, like, if there is something, the way he's playing, I would bet that it's a hip injury, which is problematic for a defenseman, especially an offensive one like that. But that's the only thing that made sense to me, was that there was something wrong with his hips. And lo and behold, he apparently has been battling it out. So unless he watches the show and decided to lie based on validating my own concerns, there might be something there. But I can't confirm or deny. But Riebeacon is good. I do really like him. I think he's more of an offensive guy. I mean, I think he is a better defensive player than you might think based on his stature and his length. He gets around the ice really well. He patrols the ice off the puck pretty well. Not much of a physical game, really. It's not there, but, you know, it kind of comes and goes. It's not really his bread and butter. But the skill is really good. Like, I don't think he's that much of a downgrade as a guy that you could get in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round and beyond. Well, beyond, you know what I'm saying. I don't think he's that much of a downgrade. I think many, many worse defensemen will get drafted before he does. He's in my 2nd round, I think. But really, really interesting player. I will say though, I am skeptical of Russian players right now in this environment, based on my track record and my experience with Russians over the years, and talking to people in the league about Russian players and the system over there and how everything has gone over the last few years there. It's a bit of a question mark. But, I mean, if it's a later round pick, who cares? You know, Riebeacon could be one of them. I like him. I just wouldn't be drafting him really high. Thoughts on some of the funny questions asked during the combine? What would be a funny question to ask during... I remember the drain the puck in the garbage can thing was really funny. That is really funny. I mean, it's hard for me not to be a bit of a curmudgeon and be like, all right, I think we've gone a little bit off the deep end here with, like, you know, like, this is a really valuable experience for evaluation of a person. Like, Pittsburgh's still going out and walking guys through their own video and walking through their flaws and their strengths and walking through some tape of them. That's what I would probably want to focus on. But I definitely would keep it, like, light. You know what I mean? I mean, it really all just depends on what your goal is with what you want to achieve with a player, right? Like, what is your ultimate goal? And for me, like, you kind of gotta, like, I get it. Like, they're going to be rehearsed and you want to keep them on their heels and keep them on their toes and put them on their heels a little bit and all that fun stuff. But, like, at the same time, though, you can also just, like, have a little bit of fun seriousness about it. Like, I'm trying to think of what I would ask. I mean, because you want to be informed about. I want to find out what makes a player tick. I want to find out what they're all about. You know what I mean? Like I don't need to really. I can find out how hard you work out in the gym from your coach. You know what I mean? I don't need to hear it from you. You know, if you're lying to me, we're gonna find out. Like that, you know. But if you were a Pokemon, which one would you be? You know, it's like, or I don't know. If you were a video game character, who would it be? Or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, think about how you could get your personality across to me. Do you like museums? What's your favorite museum in the world? Here's one. If you could curate a museum, what exhibits would you, if you could curate any exhibit or exhibits in a museum of any kind, and assuming you could just find whatever, what would you put in the museum? And if you say hockey, you're a D&D. If you say hockey, we're gonna put you in the garbage. You know what I mean? Yeah, rank pie flavors. That's a great one. If you could eat a pie right now in front of us, what kind of pie would you eat? If you had to eat a pie, and if you didn't eat it, you would get drafted by not us. We're gonna skip over you if you can't eat the pie. You have to eat it in one sitting. What kind of pie would it be? Now we're getting somewhere, right? Now we're getting somewhere. Yeah, like apple, cherry, rhubarb, strawberry. Rhubarb has to be in there. You could throw a key lime as a wild card, sure. Yeah, sell me this pen. Yeah, exactly. This is great. I'm sourcing a lot of information here. This is great. We could do a lot of this. But yeah, I think it would be kind of fun. I crumbled under the pressure, Gavin McKenna first. Well, look, the thing for me is I would rather just take the risk. You look at him and you're just like, you could just look at him and be like, you have superstar potential. You could be front of the Wheaties box type player, and you got to get one of those. You got to have those guys. So it's like, you know what? I may be a little spooked, a little scared, a little whatever, but I also kind of liked what he had to say at the combine when he was interviewed, and judging by my very surface level body language analysis, I think he was just fine. And it said a lot of the right things in a way that seemed believable. And so, like, sure, I'm not there. I didn't experience any of this firsthand. But I just go, you know what? Like, even you just got to go with it and see where it goes. But it's close. Like, it's not just me, right? If I were working for a team, it's okay. No, we're not doing cream pie. Okay. We're not doing that. That doesn't go on the list. Okay. No, we're not doing that. We're adults in the room here. But yeah, I think if I were, doing this, I would have other people involved. And if everybody was like, nah, I'd be like, okay, like what else? What's the alternative? Do you know what I mean? USHL possible for 6 to 8 teams in the Western US, concerned about the drop of player talent in the USHL. I think in the immediate future, yes, but long term, it depends. Like, the point, if the USHL didn't do something like this, they will die. Like, you realize that. Like, you have teams that are in Omaha and Des Moines and Dubuque and all of these places that, if the talent is just not there and the excitement factor is just not there, I don't think they're going to survive. The Canadian Hockey League, there is much more. Again, I don't want to be like dismissive to the USHL, but the Canadian Hockey League does have quite a bit of money behind it. It does have a lot of momentum and a lot of attention from the NHL. And it pulls guys away. It's pulling Americans away. And so the USHL has to turn around and go, okay, how can we make ourselves more marketable to players? How can we maybe turn the tables on the CHL a little bit and go, right, but like, we're a better option. Like, I think having two conferences that rarely play one another is fine. And like, if you can make it a discussion with a young player of like, well, yeah, you could go to Newfoundland and play, or you could go to Prince George or, Kamloops, or you could play at Mullet Arena on the campus of ASU and live in Phoenix or whatever, or they could put a team in like Flagstaff, and I don't know what that's going to do, right? Like if the plan is put a team in Anaheim and Dallas and bigger markets where there are already established AAA programs that like there's already the infrastructure there, then you could then I think it could be an attractive place to play. It's just like Chicago, right? The Chicago Steel for a run there, they got really high profile guys. And look at them now. Michael Hage, Adam Fantilli, Macklin Celebrini, Adam Valentini. Time and time again, Mackie Samoskevich, Matthew Coronado. They have had a constant stream of guys. And so it's the only option to me for them. It's the only option. I don't know what else you're supposed to do, because otherwise you just lay down and die a slow death. Now, I still believe, and this is like my speculative stock pick equivalent, I still believe that the dark horse here are private schools in Toronto. I have family right around one. They're building a brand new rink, and it is pretty big. Upper Canada College, they are trying to do things. I think other schools want to be like St. Andrews, and they should. They have the money, they have resources, and that becomes an attractive idea for a lot of players. You get a great education. Generally, a great education. You could be from wherever in the world and play. They probably wouldn't care about import rules. It's like if they can build a superstar team at Upper Canada College full of kids from wherever that pay international student fees or cheaper international student fees that are subsidized on a scholarship, you're telling me that wouldn't be fun? And like you have a circuit of teams in Toronto, maybe a few in Vancouver. I don't know about Vancouver and Montreal because I don't know that area as well. But it's a thought that might be attractive to a lot of young players. It's like, well, would you rather just play all your games in the Greater Toronto area where you get to sleep at, you board at a school, but you stay in your own bed almost every night? And then you get to go to college. The furthest trip you make might be Appleby College in Oakville. Like, St. Andrews is a bit of a trek, but it's an hour away. You'll probably spend some time at tournaments, but like you see what I'm trying to say here. Like that is an intriguing idea long term, and that could pull like if you have a super league of schools like that for under 18 players before they go to college, now you might be talking about something interesting. But we'll see. Dylan Larkin 3-team trade list, kind of the obvious suspects. Yeah. Look, I know Detroit fans are jumping off the wagon here. Look, I don't blame Larkin, honestly. I mean, I think Larkin is maybe making a mistake, like zooming out and looking at it as looking at the situation as it is. Like Detroit might be a playoff team next year. You would hope they are. They kind of have to be. Like if they're not a playoff team next year, I don't know what to tell you. But tomorrow or next season, like you might, like you're kind of hoping they're good. And I mean, I think that with Larkin, like, I don't blame him though. He's been there his whole career. They have made the playoffs once with him, and he's standing up for his own career. He's like, I've been here. I've given you everything. I've given you the best years of my career, and it's just not working. I think it's a bad look because he's the captain of the team, but also like Steve Yzerman has gone out of his way most off seasons over the last few years to bring guys in that just haven't helped them. DeBrincat, I would argue, has, but like, and Patrick Kane arguably has, but like that defense group is crazy. Some of those contracts he's handing out are nuts, and it's not working. And so Larkin going, I would rather just skip the line and go to a contender. It's annoying, and it's a little bit like, ooh, but he has been there a very long time. He's given them a lot. And I've been begging and screaming for years for the Detroit Red Wings to take the options that they have had in the draft and go draft a Dylan Larkin type. You need someone for him to take under his wing, and they just haven't done it. So I don't know where to go. But that's tough. It's a tough scenario, especially because I don't think Minnesota has a package that would interest me unless they're giving up a lot of first-round picks. Vegas, I don't know what they're going to offer that would make sense for me. And what was the other one? Tampa? Oh, no, Florida. Florida, maybe. But him specifying 3 teams does not do Steve Yzerman any favors. But, like, also when you think about it, why would Steve Yzerman, like, in this situation, deserve favors? You know what I mean? Like, he's kind of had this team under control for a long time, and it just hasn't worked. So we'll see what happens. But, yeah, I don't know, man. Thoughts on Brady Tkachuk? The rumors wanting out of Ottawa. Seems like some of the USA guys winning gold might have inspired them to want to make changes. Well, I don't know about the second part, but I mean, I'm sure it feels good to win. I don't know. It doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of truth to that. I think that's just... I think there's a narrative out there that and I think Elliot Friedman, I think, has even said that this might be a thing where guys don't want to leave the country they're from to play, you know? And I think that's a personal preference. I'm sure that there is a part of Brady Tkachuk living in Ottawa, Ontario, whose brother is a multi-time Stanley Cup winner living in Florida. I'm sure there's a part of Brady that goes, I really wish look, Ottawa is a nice city. I like it, but it ain't Florida. And they aren't winning Stanley Cups like Matthew Tkachuk has. And it is a different lifestyle, man. You could walk out your back door, get on your yacht, drive up the lagoon, and have a few margaritas at the local whatever. You can't do that in Ottawa. And I don't know how Ottawa is going to compete with that. Like, I'm sure there's a part of him, but it just doesn't... I also feel like he's a professional enough to be like, I don't know if I actually want to pull that out. And also, like, Ottawa's a good team, you know? Like, they're a good team. Yeah, they got swept this year, but, like, they're pretty good. And so they've been through so much with him as a captain that I just don't know if it makes sense. But we'll see. Have you seen Obsession? I have not. Sorensen will probably go in the 4th or 5th round, pull up to camp and impress the hell out of a team. Exactly. Yes, I agree. Who do you think the Flyers could look into at pick 21? I would love to see like an Adam Novotny in Philadelphia. I think that'd be fun. Oscar Hemming could be fun there. Suvanto would be fun. There are going to be some good ones. There's going to be some fun options. Thank goodness for us fans drafting in the top 5 or drafting for tomorrow. Yeah, exactly. McKenna's ceiling is either Patrick Kane or Clayton Keller. Well, I mean, I think the guy he reminds me of the most in the NHL is Panarin, and that was in that article. That makes sense to me. And I know some people in the article were like, well, he could be Kucherov and he could be Panarin. It's like, I bet that if you put Panarin on the Tampa Bay Lightning for the time Kucherov has been there, he does pretty well too. Like, I don't think it's I think they are both very talented players. I mean, Panarin has been offensively dragging the Rangers for a long time were Panarin with Shesterkin and sometimes Kreider and Fox, I should say too. They have had an elite forward, an elite defenseman, and an elite goalie and guys. And sometimes Kreider has a good year. Sometimes Zibanejad has a good year. Like, I bet that if you put him on Tampa and put Kucherov on New York, like, is Nikita Kucherov dragging the New York Rangers to a Stanley Cup final? I don't think so. You know what I mean? So, but in terms of actual player style, I think that you can look at Panarin as a pretty reasonable comparison. Oh, apparently Sebastian Cosa might be on the move. Um. Oh, well, we'll see what happens, but it seems that he might be going to Edmonton. Apparently, for a second, a third, and Matt Tompkins. Edmonton making moves, man. Bringing in Mike Babcock, maybe, and apparently also bringing in Sebastian Cosa for a second, a third, and Tompkins. I mean, I thought it would cost a little more to get Sebastian Cosa, but if that's what the deal is. But, okay. Oh, here it is. Oilers have been talking to Mike Babcock. Why did the league take a step forward and 15 years backwards? I don't know, man. Look, I mean, welcome to the world. Like, this is just the way it is. You know, I don't know. That would be a wild choice, though. What's your biggest selling point for Oscar Hemming? I feel like I'm missing something with him. I mean, I'm not like thrilled about him as a player, but I do really like the potential there. Like, he is extremely young. Couple of weeks later, he's next year, and he'd be a sophomore in college. But he's big, he's physical. He actually gets around pretty well, especially in a straight line. Like, you know, as a northbound forechecker with physical ability, he's got very good defensive numbers in my experience as well at the college level, which is not easy to do. I think he's also a very gifted shooter that didn't get the opportunity to do it a whole lot in college this year. I think there are reasons for that are traced back to him, but he is a good player. And I think that whoever gets him is getting a very interesting blank slate. Like, he's not his brother, right? He's not. I don't think he is. But he is a very intriguing potential NHLer. I don't think he's a line driver on his own, but as a complementary, physical, intriguing guy that could score, like a power play shooter too, maybe, you could do a lot worse than Oscar Hemming. He's not there right now. I think you're taking on the risk that he doesn't develop into what you hope he is. But I do think there's enough of a floor there that you could do something with him. Maybe it's the Canucks to make their fans happier when they select Malhotra, maybe. Does Chase Reed's rise remind you of the rise of Levchinov had in his draft year? Do you think Chase Reed's game can translate better than Levchinov? I think I like Reed more than I liked Levchinov. I do think Reed has defensive issues, but they're not the same as Levchinov's, I don't think. I think they're a little more troubling than Levchinov's, but the fundamentals of Reed's game and the way he generates offense and everything like that, and the way he transitions the puck, like, I think that's better than Levchinov was. I mean, Levchinov was like a point a game defenseman or so as a 17-year-old in the USHL before college. So, you know, like, I think it's a little bit apples and oranges, but Reed, I like him a lot, and I like him more than I liked Levchinov. But they do have sort of similar issue areas. It's just those issues present themselves differently. Hermansson's the steal of the draft, maybe. As a Sharks fan, I want Verhoff at 2. Just can't seem to quit him. Why can't I quit you? I know what you mean. I know that feeling, bro. Many of these kids might have had brain issues from long COVID. I'll use that as an excuse for myself. I won't speak for the children, but if it's me, maybe I just have long COVID and have had it for 6 years, and that explains my takes. I don't know. If I were the Flames propaganda man, I'd be doing everything to get McKenna into trading distance. I mean, the trade in my draft simulator, the trade that I'm always playing around with if I'm Toronto for team scouting, is 1 for 6, 30, and 35, I think it is. And you end up with, like, in reality, you could probably end up with Lawrence, Preston, Villeneuve in some combination. I'd be pretty happy with that. But McKenna's pretty good. McKenna could be pretty good. Extremely talented, but has some moments when you're wanting more effort. I don't know what that's in response to. Oh, yeah, now we're talking. New Fortnite sucks. The sprites are annoying. Loot is sparse. Gameplay's awful. What should I play instead? So luckily, this is like in the market when you sell a stock that then tanks and you made some money off it. I stopped playing Fortnite the second Forza Horizon 6 dropped, and it is awesome. If you like cars in a way. It's great. I also play a lot of Slay the Spire 2, which if you're into that like roguelike deck building style game, then it is. I'm not super into those styles of games, but a couple of rounds of that before I go to bed most nights, man, that hits good. That's some good stuff. Those two are my AB. Those two are my AB, and the what's it called? Oh my god. And Forza Horizon is really good. It's way better than the fifth one. The fifth one was good, I thought, but this one is really sick. Especially if you're like a geek for like the Japanese car culture. Like if that's something that you're curious about, it feels like you live it. It's cool. It's good. And it gave us Bowie Knife. Like that's the best. I wonder the ceiling of Schmitz. How much more is there? He's already 6'3", 207. I don't think you're gonna get like a more physical development out of him. Oh, I have tried Balatro. Don't worry, I have it. I went through a phase. I think it was like 2 summers ago. I played a lot of Balatro when I didn't have draft work to do. Last summer it was EU4. That did it. EU5 hasn't gone on sale that much yet. Maybe, I don't know what this summer is going to be. We'll see. But no. I mean, with Schmitz, though, like, yeah, he is, I would say, like, quite physically developed. But also, like, you could definitely refine his skating. Like, his fundamentals could improve. There's nothing that says, like, if you put him on an ice surface with 1,000 hockey pucks 5 times a week and shoot the puck with him, are you telling me his shot's not going to get better? Like, if you run drills with him trying to develop his skill, is that going to help him? Like, you can do things with players. I don't think he's going to grow that much, maybe. But, like, who cares? Like, I would love to see him get more mobile, especially left and right, more mobile, closing gaps a little more effectively. And I'd love to see him, like, a little more explosive when he's got the puck, because in the offensive zone you see some really especially special stuff that can sometimes you just wonder if it's going to work in the NHL. But I think his overall impact on the game is very, very, very positive. And if you get an Aaron Ekblad out of him, I don't know anybody who would complain about that. He's pretty, when Ekblad was healthy for a long time, he was a good NHL defenseman. And I think this year's class you're going to get a lot of good NHL players. I don't know how many world enders you're going to get, but I could see a lot of good, solid NHL players coming out of this class. Marner scored 2 complex goals last game, deking around the goalie. Well, yes, I mean, he's very skilled. A slap shot from the wing, okay, he shoots the puck good, right? That's not complexity to me. Like, Tynan Lawrence could do that. I've seen him jump into just carry the puck into the offensive zone, wind up and shoot it. He can do that too. You know? My point is more like, what difference does it make? Like, people are questioning his ability to make plays, but I go, yeah, but he drives down the boards, he fights through pressure and puts the puck out in front of the net. Like, if I'm a coach and I'm constructing a line, I put guys with him that will crash the net. Everything about that offensive unit should be drive the puck to the net, raise hell, knock in a dirty one. That's what works any game. It's gritty and gross and ugly, but it works. And in the NHL playoffs, in the Stanley Cup playoffs, sometimes that's what you desperately need. Guys who can get the puck to the net, raise hell, cause issues, and put the pucks in the net. You know, I think there's a lot to like there. Preston at 6. Why does every mock draft sell this? We need to do scientific studies on people not understanding the difference between NHL draft coverage and people having their own opinions and a mock draft. We need to do a psychological analysis of this. We need to fund a study. I will donate money to funding that study of the reading comprehension issues with that. And I love Mathis Preston, man, and I don't care what anybody says. He is awesome, and Like, if you're going to look at a defenseman and go, he's sleepy, and put him in the top 10, and look at a Mathis Preston and go, he's got everything you need, he's electrifying, he's skilled, he's fast, he's got everything you need, and have won 15 spots below the sleepy guy, you might need to take a step back and look at the words on a big whiteboard and go, So give him McKenna can't be protected. I mean, he can be, yeah. Like, but the problem with Gavin McKenna in Toronto is that how quickly is Jeff O'Neill going to watch him play hockey and start talking about how disappointing he is if things are off on a questionable foot? If the Leafs go on a 4-game losing streak and Gavin McKenna has 0 points in November, you're telling me that, like, Craig Button isn't going to be on Jay Onright's TV show going, well, you know, Ivar Stenberg scored a hat trick yesterday in Sweden, you know, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? So, like, I look at McKenna and I just go, how's he going to respond to that? How is he going to be able to how is he going to handle it? Because, like, God forbid the Leafs go to the playoffs next year, play a 6-game series, and he's got 1 point. Like, I think that's possible. And so we're either going to, like, in Toronto and this whole region of the world, you're going to need to understand that he is not perfect, that he has things to learn, and he's going to need to be willing to learn. And I'm not saying he isn't, but that should be the ultimate goal of any NHL team drafting. And I know for a fact that it is something NHL teams are thinking about. Like, it's not conjecture that there is, on some level with some teams, they're going, the talent is there. Nobody denies that. However, you know, because at the same time, these guys are drafting employees, right? These guys are drafting employees, and there's a lot more to it than just this person. This person is really good at writing Python code, therefore we're going to hire them before everybody else. On one hand, I see what you're saying, but there is more to the picture. If you're choosing who to hire, there is more to the picture, and it matters. Like, I'm just saying that in Toronto, I watch people in Toronto change their minds on a player like that. And how many times was Steve Dangle saying trade everybody when, like, Brad Treliving, like, half the team was new this year, and by November it's like, why haven't the Leafs done anything to trade everybody and get new stuff? You know, like, tens of thousands of people hear that, and then they internalize it, and it's really hard to get that out of your head, because you look back and you go, oh, but they did sign this guy, and they did trade for this guy, and they did sign this guy, and they did claim this guy on waivers, and they did do this, and they did do that, and they did acquire this guy, and this and this and this, and like, they are trying stuff. You know, it's not like he's sitting around doing nothing. Now, Brad Treliving, you could criticize him for sitting on his hands and waiting until the last minute to do things. However, he did do things. But I'm just saying that there's a lot more to the picture than just, you know, especially in Toronto. He's not going to have anywhere to hide, I guess is what I'm saying. He will not be able to hide. So you better be damn sure that that's not going to be a frustrating situation for him, because I think that's part of what the problem has been in Toronto. They have demons. They freaked out. They can freak out, and it has cost them. And then they just can't recover because people notice. Like, Leaf fans are paying attention to everything. I'm watching in real time, seeing producer AJ realize why it's so quiet in Scotiabank Arena all the time, because mentally damaged Leaf fans are just sitting there agonizing over every play and every mistake a player makes, because it's one step closer to the abyss. There's a lot of suits there, But boy, when they're winning, it is rocking in there. I've been to playoff games where Toronto drives teams out of the house, and it is awesome. But I've also been there for when they don't have a good night, and everybody knows, and everybody notices, and everybody is just miserable. Okay? So it's not an easy place to play. It's not for everybody. But it's because they care a lot, arguably too much. They care too much. We need to get the whole city. We need to put like a bupropion. Need to get bupropion into the water supply or something. Calm them down a little bit. Thoughts on the EP draft guide rankings of attributes they had on their Instagram? Takes the top 5 from each attribute. Largely, I agreed with a lot of it. I see where they're coming from on a lot of it. It's fun to see Mathis President on there so many times. But I don't have it in front of me. Yeah. There are 4 at the top which have separated themselves from the rest. Stenberg, McKenna, Reed, and Lawrence. I mean, I have Lawrence as the only guy that... Let me double check that. Yeah, like my top tier is McKenna, Stenberg, Lawrence. And then Schmitz, Bjork, Preston, Villeneuve. I think Reed's defensive game is... after watching it back a lot, and considering he's an 07 compared to some of the 08s that are available, like I have concerns. I have thoughts. He reminds me a lot of how I felt about Sam Dickinson. I think Sam Dickinson's a better like mobility skater. Like I think Dickinson gets around the ice a lot better, but I think Reed's offensive abilities are a little beyond Dickinson's, and especially his passing ability. I think Chase Reed's passing vision and the way he maps the ice in front of him is really beyond Dickinson, which is why I kind of feel a little more confident about Reed. But I don't know about top tier with those other guys. It would take a lot to convince me of that. I don't see it. Say a guy like Denver Barkey was in this year's draft. Where would you place him in the draft compared to where he went in 2023? Well, he was in my first round in 2023. This year, he probably would be in a very similar spot to where he was in 23. Like, I had him, I think, at 32. And, like, Lynn, Pipparainen, Gollier, Hextall, he probably is just outside the first round, I would think. Like, a shade... Like, would I rather have him or Tomas Shrenko or Ryder Kali or Nikita Klepov or Gleb Pugachev? I probably would maybe lean towards Barkey. Like, I'd say somewhere in the 25 to 35 range, something like that. I don't know. It's close in that range, I'll tell you that. What about Malte Gustafsson separates him from Carroll's, in your opinion? I think he is his feet defensively are significantly more active and projectable. He's taller and I would say has more physical development to go than Carroll's does. I think his like management of the puck through the neutral zone, especially on breakouts, is better. Carroll's isn't bad, but I think Gustafsson, like, there's a stable floor to Gustafsson's ability defensively, both physically and with his stick checking and positioning. Whereas Carroll's, like, I can't even imagine what Carroll's would look like in the SHL this year. I can't even imagine. Gustafsson played his best hockey at that level. I think that long term you end up with a little bit more out of Gustafsson, but they're in the same tier. You could argue it either way. But when I see Gustafsson, I see a guy who just gets better and better and better and better over the next number of years. And I just don't know if I believe in Carroll's skill level and explosiveness to really get him out of jams and produce offensively. Whereas Gustafsson, I'm not expecting a ton of offense out of him, but I'm also not expecting none. He played on teams that did not generate any offense, and it's not his problem to generate offense as a 17-year-old playing in the SHL, right? But his defensive game was very, very good. Most of the time. What do you think of Zach Lansard? Honestly, he's one I just haven't seen enough of. I can't give you a good answer. I can't do it. I've seen him a few times. He never really moved the needle for me enough in my viewing to put him on the list and go back and track him and everything. So like I can't see everybody all the time, and I think he's just one that's kind of slipped through the cracks for me. And this happens every year. Like sometimes these are the guys that like take off and go nuts, and that's fine. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, from what I've seen of him, I don't know about second round. Like I have guys in my top 50 that are going to be there for most of the draft, and I really like a lot of them. And I don't think Lansard has surpassed them, but maybe he's worth a last minute look. Maybe it was David Sod who said there was no injury. Okay, yeah, there you go. If Schaefer were in this year's draft, would he be the undisputed one? Yes. Yes, he would. I'm trying to be as honest as I can. Yes, he would. Yeah, no, I never did I feel about Schaefer the way I felt at times about McKenna or even Stenberg. Like, no, yeah, no. Burrs counts first round. That would not surprise me, but I wouldn't be shocked, but it would surprise me. I love Rudolph Burrs-Counts. I think he has a lot of developmental room to go. I think he did look quite good for Muskegon in the playoffs this year. I think he's really improved over the course of this season, so it wouldn't surprise me. Like if you wanted him over a Jack Hextall or a Ryan Lynn, or I mean, I like Ryan Lynn, but like Burrs-Counts long term, like he's got advantages that could work out, but it's a long shot. But it would be an interesting bet. Like I've got Burrs-Counts top 50, but if you wanted him at the late parts of the first round and guys like Villeneuve were off the board and Blyle and all that stuff, sure, you could do a lot worse. Really, really like him. Stealing a joke I saw on Twitter. How long until an NHL team just does the Stanford prison experiment at the Combine? Well, I actually thought about that, that you just put them all in a room Hunger Games style and see who comes out alive and just draft that guy first overall. But that would kind of nullify not only nullify the existence of a bunch of young athletes, but nullify the point of having a draft in the first place. PWHL thoughts? I mean, I'm glad that there's expansion coming to my neck of the woods. But yeah, I didn't get to see as much of the PWHL this year as I would have liked. I went to a game this year. I went to a game last year. It was a lot of fun. Honestly, like I shouldn't understate that. Actually, PWHL games are a lot of fun. It's really good. I would recommend going to one. Tickets are not cheap in Toronto for sure. But it's a good time. I also will say, like, I genuinely believe that Caroline Harvey, she is declaring for the draft this year. I'm almost certain of it. And I would bet that she's going first overall. And I would bet that is a game changer. I would be willing to bet that there is a Caitlin Clark-esque curve to Caroline Harvey's career. She is unbelievable. And that is a huge benefit. Like, I hope she is as good as she is at the highest level of women's hockey, because she is incredible and a mutant. So yeah, I'd be all for that. So I'm hopeful. Who has the first? Is it Vancouver who has the first pick in the PWHL? Alina Muller is going to Hamilton. Oh, interesting. Yeah, Vancouver has the first pick. Yeah, Caroline Harvey, absolutely. Abby Murphy too, even. Like, she's gonna change things too. Layla Edwards, yeah, as well. But Caroline Harvey is gonna be a real one, I think. I mean, you never know though. Like, I would also love to see Abby Murphy, like, kind of maybe have a bit of the personality, a little bit of that, like, you know, I'm a bit of a, you know, wink, wink, like, I'm gonna come get you type of hockey player that, like, could have a little bit of an edge, the Jeremy Roenick style, or Patrick Waugh, I have 2 Stanley Cup rings, plug in my ears style of personality. And if she leans into that and finds some success, it could be fun. Prospects should be asked, tell us why our organization has failed. Honestly, kind of a good question. Yeah. Why do you think we're drafting so high? What do you think is wrong with us, and how would you fix it? Yeah. Ranking utensils? Fair. Ask prospects what the AHL Hamilton team to be. The worse names, the better. Well, yeah, maybe. Anything but the Hammers. God. The word cream pie is appearing too many times catching up on this chat. It's diabolical. If you were a goalie, how would you design your mask? I know you'll like this one. I'll put the Dixie flag on top of it. Just a big... NHL fans would love it. Just a big Dixie flag with Free Alberta emblazoned on the back on a giant copper belt buckle. That's what I'm doing. Giant Dixie flag with the Free Alberta on the back. How about that? No. I'm a man of simplicity. I think my mask, I would probably bring it back to its origins. A racing stripe. Just right up the top over the top of the head. Just a racing stripe. Bam. Maybe an arrow at the top to be like, hey, the puck's going to go that way when it hits my face. Something like that. I don't know. And it says, I'm with stupid on the side. And it points out away from me. So that when you're like, it points behind the net when I turn. So when you take the puck behind the net, it says, I'm with stupid and you're stupid. But then when I look head on, it's just a racing stripe. How about that? Oh, you were asking that as a draft question. Oh, well, I answered it genuinely, so ha. Why did Lawrence leave the USHL? Was it because he wanted to go to the NCAA, or was there another reason? As far as I know, he just finished school early and went. I don't know how else he could have gone, right? Like, he would have been a 12th grade student. He would have had to have finished school early and left for it would have been the winter semester at BU, and so he went. Applebee's website is sick. They have an AI chatbot. Every website has an AI chatbot, except mine. All you AI bears, don't worry. You're safe on my website. We don't have a chatbot. Although you might argue we might need one to interpret the data. That gives me maybe an off-season idea, but... or you could just watch the show and ask me here. I'm surprised Blyle and Xavier... Oh my goodness. Sorry, I'm gassy. I'm surprised Blyle and Xavier are so far apart on your list. What's the biggest difference between the two? Tools. Villeneuve is more explosive, more skilled, more aggressive, more creative. On paper, much better. Just in many different areas of the game. Blyle is a very northbound focused attacking offensive defenseman. Villeneuve does that and more. Like, working the blue line, Blyle tries things that Villeneuve does very well, and I think he's decent at it. But, like, I don't know. I did a few weeks ago, I looked at, like, just a bunch of individual plays, breakouts, exits, offensive entries, shots, point production from both of those guys. And the number of times I just went, I see what Blyle is doing, but Villeneuve just seems better at it. It was pretty wild how many times that happened. But Blyle's good. It's just, I think that Villeneuve, especially going to BU next year, like, he'll be challenged right away. And Blyle's going back to Moncton. I don't know what the expectation is there. I don't know what the point of that is, but go off. For Villeneuve, like, I don't know. I've had the thoughts this year that Villeneuve should have been on the World Junior team. Like, I thought he was that good. And I think a lot of people are forgetting just how good he was at the under-18s last year and just how good he was at the CHL NTDP Prospects Challenge this year. Go watch those games back, man. He was unbelievable. Him and Preston in those games were unbelievable. So, yeah, big fan of him. As much as I like Blyle, like he's good. He's a good player. I think I have him higher than a lot of people. I like him. Good player. Finance guy. Options for the Rangers at 26. Who do you like? Well, I mean, for what might actually work with the Rangers. I mean, if a guy like Suvanto falls that far, then I could see that. Casey Mutrin would be sick. Casey Mutrin would be sick in New York. That would be a reasonable place to take him. Ilya Morozov. Adam Valentini would be a lot of fun in New York. There's going to be some options. They're going to have some good ones, man. What's Detroit's center depth even look like? Dude, I can't even tell you. Kopp, Casper. I don't even know. And I'm too lazy to look. Is Utah picking Sokolovsky or Rogowski or the others? Rogowski would be fun. Rogowski in Utah. Look, I've grown to like Rogowski quite a bit. Sokolovsky is not my guy, but I'm excited. I just want to see what happens with that guy in his career. I don't know if I would draft him that high, but if it worked, it would be really fun. Because he's actually a pretty good, like, soft-skilled playmaker for a guy his size. It's just I don't know how much you're going to get out of him, but he's had some good moments when I've seen him. He's good. He's interesting. Novotny said he loved the Flyers because of Jacob Voracek, so that could be fun. Dude, Novotny in Philadelphia, I feel like that would be a great spot for him. Like, you're getting a kind of diet, more shot-leaning Porter Martone. Like, if Novotny has the Jets on, he can really go and he can really be physical. And that's exactly the same story that was there for Martone, in my opinion. It was all there. And at Michigan State, it just came alive. And Novotny, I wouldn't want to play against the Flyers with Novotny on one line, Martone on another line, Barkey on another line, or whatever. Yeah, I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't like that too much. Would you say the Jets are the Western Conference version of the Rangers? I don't know, but I think they're rapidly approaching that. It's, they've had one bad year. We'll see. But it's looking okay. Why does Blyle get heat for staying in Moncton when it was crickets when Desnoyers stayed in the queue? Well, nobody asked me about Desnoyers doing that all year, but I wouldn't have done it if I were him. But I think it was him, like, I think he signed his ELC before the rules changed, and now that he has an ELC, he couldn't leave. Like, he is one of the last bastions of guys that are locked in the CHL because he signed an entry-level deal. I think that's the problem. So I don't know if it's that, like, as much a choice for him, but a matter of timing and kind of pigeonholing himself. But yeah, I mean, Desnoyers, like, you don't have to come after. Not that you're coming after me, but you don't have to bring up Desnoyers as question marks and all that stuff. Yeah. But if Tommy Blyle goes fourth, that's a very different discussion than Desnoyers. But I think a lot of it is timing. I'm drafting at 19. Oh, you are. Who are you banging the table for or throwing the table against? Hermanson, Mutrin, Villeneuve, Novotny, Gallagher, or just the best possible goalie like Andrianov? I mean, Villeneuve. Why are ELCs blocking NCAA access? Because you're under contract with an NHL team and you are then legitimately a professional, right? Like, it's a different concept to say, okay, we are allowing players to be paid by the schools to be recruited and they have their name, image, and likeness rights and can make money off of that. It's a very different thing from that to also have, oh, you're a contracted employee of a professional organization, right? Like, it's one thing to be the employee of the school in a way, in a roundabout way, than it is to be an employee of an NHL team on loan to the school. Like, I think then the NCAA, I think rightfully, still has the upper hand in, like, saying, well, that's not in the spirit of college sports, right? Okay, fine, we'll pay you. Fine, we'll pay you. But we will pay you, right? we will be the ones to judge what is and is not permissible at our schools. Whereas the NHL, they're under contract to someone outside of the NCAA for a lot of money. So I get the feeling they don't want them double dipping like that. But yeah, for 19th overall, I mean, you could make an argument for Novotny and maybe getting Villeneuve later. I think you could make an argument for Hermansen there. With those guys on the board, it would be tough for me to go for Mutrin, especially Novotny. Villeneuve would be the guy I probably would want to at least have due diligence on. Like, that just, the upside is so high. But if you wanted Novotny, I'd say I could do it and skip on Villeneuve. But then it's like, if in 5 years Villeneuve is in the running for a Norris Trophy against Lane Hudson, don't forget, even if Novotny's good, don't forget. Your boyfriend loves watching these videos. Someone was telling me, maybe this is you, but someone was telling me that someone watches these in bed with their partner, and their partner is going to sleep, but their partner actually likes it, and she calls me the sleepy man or something like that. Someone said something like that to me not too long ago. They're like, oh yeah, like, we'll put on the show when I'm in bed and she's going to sleep, and it actually helps her sleep because she finds it so boring and she just passes out. And I thought that was really cute. I thought that was really nice, and I'm honored. I'm honored. If I could, look, there's so much craziness and anxiety in the world. If I help calm anyone down through my boredom, that's a gift. That's a gift to me. So I appreciate it. I don't know if that's you though. What if Toronto goes for the Blues 3 first-round picks? Well, let's see on scouching.ca if that's something that, even if watch this in the shower. Well, let's see. Okay, scouching.ca. Propose a trade to St. Louis for 1. I don't think St. Louis is going to do it in this model here. Yeah, no. But if I add 68th overall, so 11, 15, 29 for 1 and 68, they will accept it. And I might be curious about what that would do. But, like, for me, I think I'm much more comfortable trading down from 1 if I get Lawrence later. If I know I'm getting Tynan Lawrence and I can add a few more picks to do it in the top 50 or 40, then I do think about it. But if I knew in advance that I wouldn't get him by trading down to slot X or whatever, then I probably wouldn't do it. Because Gavin McKenna could just be he could just be such a useful player in the NHL if things go right. Like, that's why he's at 1 for me again. Like, it's just like I have to bet on it. I like Stenberg. I love Stenberg. If you wanted him at 1, I wouldn't scream. I wouldn't complain. Why would Toronto do that trade? No, okay, for the 7,000th time on this show, you've said this like multiple times. I am just saying that you, in my opinion, you can do damage in this draft that would give you value if things go right that is greater than that of McKenna. I like Gavin McKenna, but look, we just finished talking about how scouts were saying, well, there might be 5 or 7 guys at the top, and me sitting here being like, yes, I agree with that. So it's like, okay, why would you not entertain the idea of saying, well, what would a team offer me for the chance to get their pick of those guys? If they really wanted one of those guys, why would I not think about that? Right? And I again, like, people say, like, oh, well, the 2nd overall pick or the 10th overall pick has X value and X value and Y value, and 15th overall is X value. But it's like, that's the pitfall of data analysis, right? I'm the data guy, but it's not that simple, because it matters who you pick. It's not just the fact that you have a pick at a given slot that means, well, I guess we're just not going to end up with that good of a play. Like, Lane Hudson was an end of the 2nd round pick. So, like, and anybody could have told you that at the very worst, he should have been gone by 40, 50, maybe. So it's like, okay, well, if you traded down in 2020, like Montreal, you could make the argument they ended up with 2 of the best players in that entire draft class, and they picked one in the 1st round, 1st overall, and the other at the end of the 2nd round. Like, all I'm saying is that I think there is a path forward where you could end up with a group of stuff that is a huge benefit potentially. Like if Mathis Preston ends up a 30 goal scorer, if Xavier Villeneuve ends up a 70-point guy, that a power play, if he ends up Shane Gostisbehere, and you end up with a 30 goal scorer and a Dylan Larkin style excellent middle six center, are you upset about that? If Gavin McKenna is also a 30 goal scorer but has 60 assists, 70 assists, like, obviously nothing is guaranteed, but I don't think there's anything guaranteed with McKenna or Stenberg or Schmitz or any of these guys. I think it is a very close season of guys. So all I'm saying is that if the chips fall a certain way, you could instead draft Oscar Hemming and Adam Gollier and Thomas Vandenberg at those picks, and I would be like, okay, all due respect to those players, but Gavin McKenna is probably going to blow those guys out of the water. But like I'm saying, if it were me in control, if it were me running the show, and if I knew how the chips were going to fall, judging by my experience looking at how the chips might fall, and if things went right with these guys, just like how you're betting that things are going to go right with McKenna, because we always talk about the flaws that are there. A lot of these guys have flaws. So if things go right, I think it's entirely possible. So I am entertaining the idea. And I think that it is also foolish to just blanket assume that it is not an option. If you're just like, nope, it's stupid to even think about it. There's no way it's ever going to happen. It's like, well, okay, that's your opinion, but we'll see how things look back in 5-10 years. I probably wouldn't trade the pick. But if there is a universe where it is possible, I think it is possible. Would you say it's better to take Malhotra at 3 but then pick great players later? Or would it be great to pick a great player at 3 but miss later? I don't even know what that means. Look, I don't think Malhotra is the right pick at 3. And if your hope is to pick great players later, you might not get what you want. Right? Like, I think Malhotra is going to be an NHL player of some level. But I think it is deeply uncertain how far he will go. Like, you are hoping that other players in this class do not continue to get better at this. They are getting better at a slower rate than Caleb Malhotra is getting better. You're betting on something like this happening at some point, which maybe that's possible, but I don't see the indications of that. Like, I don't see it really explained outside of, well, his dad's the coach now. I'm going, well, he's not going to be coaching him in college. He might not be coaching his son until 2028, 2029. And who knows if he's even coached then? Who knows? Like, I don't know. If I'm Vancouver, I identify the players that I genuinely believe are the best options for me at that pick. And if it is Caleb Malhotra, then it is Caleb Malhotra. I will never, ever, ever blanket automatically toss away an NHL team's strategy with a draft pick, unless, especially in the first round. Like, I think there's a lot of other context that goes into the discussion that changes the equation a little bit. Like, when Beckett Seneca was drafted 3rd overall, I remember, you can go look. My reaction was like, I see the skill, I see the upside, I see the potential. I don't know. It's a risk. It is a risk to take him where they did, and we will see if it works. And I think it's come along quite nicely for them, which is great. Like, there's no point in freaking out. When I see Malhotra this year, as he is as a hockey player, based on what he has done in my experience watching him, relative to, well, how many people ahead of him on my list? 15, 14 guys? I see more, or at least a comparable amount, in players lower on that list as I do with him. And I see with other players a lot more now that I would push for. But that does not automatically mean I'm correct, right? There are things that maybe Vancouver has data on his ability to develop muscle that I do not have and will never have. And they're like, this kid is a 99th percentile player at developing muscle mass. And if that's the case, then yes, of course, that adds to his resume. Like, I will never claim to be the smartest person on the planet. I never will. But I will claim to being honest about the limits of the work that I do, and that everything I put out there is just my opinion. So if it is Malhotra, fine. The last thing I want is to be like, I hope he fails, because I don't think that's fair at all, especially for someone in my position. Like, I played like select hockey when I was a kid. I did nothing. It's just not the decision I would make. So if they feel that's the way to go, then that's the way they feel to go. And whoever's available later, like, I don't think it's an automatic throw the baby out with the bathwater, it's over thing. We'll have to see, right? Like, there's not that many guys this year in that sort of range where I'm like, if they go at 3, that is immediately a mistake. The only guy that I just cannot wrap my head around going in that range, really, like in any way, shape, or form, is Rudolph. That's the only guy. The rest, I could, if I twist my brain enough, I could see a world where that makes sense. But I don't know. It's also better for your mental health just to be like, they have control over this. I do not. You know? That's all you can do. And just cheer for your team. Just cheer for the team. You know? And I know, like Vancouver, they have people working there that are smart. They're doing their due diligence, just like, you know, they're doing what they can. We'll just have to see. It's exciting. It's gonna be fun. Arm Olsen crushed at the combine. Is it the product of it being on a good under 20 team? I mean, partially, I think. I mean, he's very, very, very skilled. I have him in the second round. I mean, I think he did do well at the combine. I don't think the combine results, unless it makes you look smart, the combine results shouldn't change your opinions at all. Like, seeing Mathis Preston on the leaderboard a bunch of times, I was like, great, elite. The best hockey player that ever existed. But otherwise, you know, Villeneuve did really well too. But for a lot of the guys, it's like, okay, whatever, who cares? I make the rules. Thoughts on the Nyes trade? Well, I'm glad it got submitted late because I wouldn't have said yes to that. If it's true that it was Nyes for Zhuravsky, Pickford, and 2 first-round picks. Yeah, that look, Zhuravsky's fun. He's a very fun and skilled player. I don't believe in Pickford, really. I don't think that he's everything cracked up to be. I think that was Kent Hughes trying to take advantage of someone who may not have fully understood what he was getting himself into. You know, like, let's sell high on the value of these guys right now and bring in Matthew freaking Nyes to Montreal. Like, that could very well, based on my experience watching Zhuravsky and Pickford, it very well could have turned into just Leaf fans thinking it is just ugly seeing Matthew Nyes in a Habs jersey. Just another thing to add to the pile to make fun of Leaf fans for. I could very easily see that being the case. And Habs fans would have loved it. It would have been hilarious. But, I mean, look, like, we're learning very quickly that the Leafs follow the most hilarious storyline. They never follow the saddest, the happiest, the most optimistic. It is always the funniest. But luckily, this one, the comedy gods decided to go, not today. Not that one. Maybe another one. We'll see what happens next year. I don't know. They're going through enough right now. We'll get that email in there 1 minute late. We'll hold up. We'll hold it for 60 seconds and just give them a little bit of a little kiss. Just a little kiss. Give them a little break. And then watch what we do with Mitch Marner. We'll give him a break. We'll let this one slide, but then watch what happens in the playoffs. Ha 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 ha. And here we are. With McKenna, it seems like he's a little too aware of what critics and trolls are saying about him. Is it concerning? Well, I think if the answer to that is yes, then I'm feeding into it, right? And I'm sure that I bear some level of responsibility because I was talking about McKenna being in my 5 slot in September and people freaking out. All I'm hoping for is that McKenna doesn't internalize it as criticism, and instead he takes it as, I just need to listen to coaches sometimes. That's the only thing I ask, is that he is the type of person to zoom out and understand that if he wants to be like one of the greats, which I think the pure talent he has, he could be. Like, he could be one of the greats. And it's like, if he wants to get there, there's probably going to need to be some lessons learned. And in Toronto, people are going to notice. So if it's something that he can't handle, then, well, maybe, but it's a risk you kind of have to take if you're Toronto, I think. You don't have to, but it could be a great thing. If he uses it as motivation to improve himself, then great. But if he's defiant and is like, I will never change because I am awesome, he'll learn one way or the other that probably will not take him as far as it could. This happened, I hate when this happens too, because it's like, I always try to come at my analysis as if the player is sitting with me. I remember I saw someone when Ken Johnson was eligible, and I remember I heard through the grapevine that he saw my report on him and he thought it was harsh. And it kind of made me feel bad because I was like, well, I wasn't trying to be harsh, but it's about being constructive. And and I say in that video multiple times, it's like, this is frustrating. It's frustrating watching this player because you see what they're capable of. You see the skill, you see the ability. It just needs guidance. It just needs a system. It just needs a little bit of a tweak and a little bit more focus to it. And it could be incredible. I don't think that's that controversial. And seeing Ken Johnson in the time since, I think that's played out pretty well. So I don't know. At the end of the day, it is what it is. I don't know. I don't know Gavin McKenna. I don't know. But yeah, I'm sure that the due diligence is being done, and it's just a matter of getting a read on him. And I have him at 1. I probably will be taking him at 1. I think he could be one of the greats, one of the most productive guys of his generation, and that's valuable. I don't think it's a guarantee, though. But yeah. Talking to Reed it too. I couldn't. I don't think I can. I like Reed, but I don't think I could do that. I'm curious where you have JC Lemieux ranked. Part of me thinks there's a decent NHLer there. I like JC Lemieux. I just don't think it's going to work. He's pretty undersized. He's pretty undersized. He's at 69 on my list right now. So early third. I think he is a very rambunctious and exciting player with a hell of a shot. And his point production on Sudbury, what if I told you that he was involved in more production every game for Sudbury relative to their goal scoring as a team than Caleb Malhotra was, right? He was a point a game, but his team didn't score much. So he was doing stuff. And he's exciting, he's aggressive, he's physical. There's a lot to like about him. I'd add him. If he was a mid to late round pick, I'd be, yeah, sure. He's fun. European defenders in this draft might surprise. Oh, I think they're good. Was Schaefer in his draft year always your number 1? I'm trying to remember. I think... I wish I saved it somewhere. I think I started the year with him at 4. And then he moved to 1 once I saw him play at the CHL NTDP series last year. I think that was when I went, oh, yeah. Yeah. Like, I think my first ranking had him at 1. I want to double check that. Preliminary was December. I think he was at 1. Yeah, so I had Schaefer at 1. So all the published rankings, I had him at 1. Did your ranking of Villeneuve drop after the playoffs? He seemed pretty lackluster. Not really. I mean, a little bit, but I think I had him at 5. But for me, I mean, finding out, at least he's claiming that he was fighting injury all year. Like, I just don't think he was the same player in the playoffs. I don't know if it was a deer in the headlights type thing. It's just he wasn't skating as well. He wasn't shooting as well. He wasn't as confident. He wasn't keeping the puck on his stick as well. It was like he was hungover every game, and it just didn't feel right. And then I went back and watched the video from his previous games, and it was like, okay, yeah, no, there's something here. And like the offensive production data in my work, game by game, it's like literally pinned at top percentile ever. And then in the playoffs, it goes down to like 40%. It's like, did he forget how to play hockey? Based on what I'm seeing, I don't think so. But I will admit, he wasn't amazing. He wasn't great. But that's why you kind of got to do your legwork off the ice and see what's going on. At what point in the year would McKenna, as the undisputed number 1 overall, become Schaefer? Would Misa also go ahead of McKenna, Ivar? I probably would take McKenna over Misa. Ivar and Misa are very similar in a weird way, I would say. But I mean, I don't think it would take very long for people to watch Matthew Schaefer. I would assume in college this year, if he was eligible, I don't think it would take very long for people to be like, okay, this guy's legit. Like, imagine he was in college hockey this year. Like, he would be outstanding. Like, I don't know. It wouldn't take very much for me. Yeah. I started the year with McKenna at 5. Like, he wasn't even number 1 for me until, like, February. So, for me personally, yeah, it would have been Schaefer. Like, I had Preston at 1 in December. Schaefer blows Preston out of the water. All due respect to my boy, but blows him out of the water. Did you check out the combine measurements at all? McKenna and Verhoff are the same height and weight as preseason. Hextall's almost 6'1", Gustafsson almost 6'5". Anything catch your eye? Not really. I don't really care too much about that. I don't think about it that much. I care about how a player plays, and I know that's not your point of your question. But it doesn't really change much of the analysis. It's nice that a guy like Wyatt Cullen has grown, but yeah. Yeah, San Jose getting a PWHL team, that wouldn't be such a bad place to play. In regards to McKenna, which of his weaknesses are you very certain he'll never substantially improve upon? I don't think you're getting a physical player out of him. Like, the thing that does genuinely concern me is he's a player who needs space. If the game plan against him is ensure that he does not have room to do stuff on the ice and do not take penalties, I think you can nullify him. But that doesn't mean it won't work. I think that's a skill and skating thing that you can improve. I just think that the mentality for his game is, I think his forechecking in the offensive zone got better and smarter as the year went on. That's a big area of improvement that I noticed. But outside that, it's pretty consistent defensively and in the neutral zone defensively that you just aren't. I don't think that's just the player you're getting. And not everybody is like that in the NHL, right? Like, Alex Ovechkin is not known for his defensive prowess, but you don't care because he has 60 goals. And so with McKenna, it's going to be a matter of like making that make sense. I just think that that's just, and I wouldn't want him playing physical hockey anyway. He's a finesse player. You want him being able to play under pressure, yes, but I don't want him chasing guys around and blasting them and headhunting and hitting guys. I don't want that. I would like maybe a bit better stick checking in the neutral zone a little bit. I think that's an area of improvement, but I don't know. If I recall correctly, he's always been trying to accelerate his classes. Well, he apparently shouldn't have. It was a disaster. Why does Blyle? Oh, we did that. The Canucks are the Western Conference Rangers. The Rangers went to a conference final not too long ago. I don't know about that. Well, I guess the Canucks had a pretty good run a couple years ago too. Listening to the Athletic Pod, and Blyle was getting grilled by teams for staying in the queue, so you're not alone. Well, I mean, I don't know if I would hammer him for it, but I would wonder what that's all about. You know, like, he must really want to go to Michigan State. If that's what he said to me, I'd be like, okay. And I don't think I would change where he is on my list regardless. I think he's going to turn out just fine. But I would just hope that he just says, like, I really want to go to Michigan State. I think Adam Nightingale is the perfect coach for me. And if he tells me to wait 2 years, I'll wait 2 years. And I'd be like, okay, I appreciate it. Just don't give me the runaround about like, oh, I want to work on yada, yada, yada. And you know, blah, blah, blah. Like if he was just, even if he was like, Gardner McDougall is a fantastic coach for me. I've come so far in my game this year. And I want to do X, right? Okay. Might not be a huge fan of that, but I get it. I guess it makes sense, you know? I have a wonderful voice. So I've been told. I mean, I've always thought about voice acting and kind of things like that. It'd be fun. I think it'd be fun. I did used to work at an audio studio that did voice acting stuff, and they never called me into the office or the studio to do some audio, but I have been told that this is. I got quite the voice box. I got quite the larynx, as they say. I'm a Sharks fan, and I want Stenberg, but if the Canucks want to trade up and offer something good, I'd consider it. Well, I mean, yeah, you move up one spot. You're San Jose, you don't care. San Jose probably shouldn't really care that much about who they get at the end of the day. Like, they've been drafting so much and so high for so long that, like, whether they pick second or fourth or sixth, like, okay. So, yeah, I'm sure they would be all ears of like, oh, you want our pick? All right. Show me the money. Drafting 19th overall, Preston and Villeneuve are still there. Are you trading down, betting 1 or 2 will be there in the late 20s? I'd probably trade down. Just keep adding. I think this is a year where in the top 2 rounds, you could do a lot of good damage with a lot of good players. And if you can stockpile as many arrows on the dartboard that you can, I think you would be well rewarded. I'm sitting here, I am of the belief that there's a chance that Preston doesn't work out and Villeneuve doesn't work out. There's pathways where they don't work out, I think. It's just, I think that in terms of like, if they hit, and that's always what I'm thinking about, if they hit, like, how many times do you watch guys like Xavier Villeneuve skating with the puck and doing stuff at the NHL level? Like, how many times do you watch Hughes, Makar, Hudson level player on defense in the NHL? And how many times do you go, boy, I wish I had a guy like that on my team? Like, why would you not take a crack at something like that and hope for the best? You know? Like, I look at William Nylander and I go, why would you not want that guy on your team? And I see Mathis Preston as a flawed but player that could be on a similar path. And people say awfully similar things about Mathis Preston that they did about Nylander when he was a draft eligible. He just scored more. He had more points on the board. Is Malhotra's this year's Barrett Hayton, where teams reach in the top 5 because they need a center? I mean, Barrett Hayton was a reach at the time because he was ranked lower. Malhotra seems pretty obvious that people are going to have him. Like, teams are going to have him there. So I don't think it'd be that surprising. Hayton was a surprise. But, I mean, I do, honestly, there is part of me that sees similar players there. Like, third-line centers that are pretty good moving the puck, and they're pretty good skaters, and they've got good frames, and there's nothing inherently wrong, but it's like what their overall impact on a game will be shift on, shift out. Every time I watch Utah, I like Hayton. I go, yeah, this guy's fine. 5th overall pick, though, is a little sketchy. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I see a similar story there. But I don't think it would be as surprising. Who does Rudolph's metrics compare to? Well, they're very good. I'll tell you that. Rudolph's numbers in a lot of ways are good. He's just not very involved moving the puck or trying to stop it. The player that he lines up the most with actually is Chase Reed. I just see a lot more really exciting factors in Reed's game in areas that I care about a lot. But they're kind of cut from a similar cloth in a weird way. Like, it's oddly close. 6 months ago, I told you Bjork would be a great center. Do you think a top team, do you see a top 10 team trading down this year? I gotta think there's a team out there that sees Bjork positively enough to draft him. Like, I mean, Victor Eklund went in the middle of the first round, so who knows? But I gotta think that someone out there is thinking outside the box. Like, I don't know. If he gets past 10, I don't think he's lasted very long. So if you have a pick in that range, I probably would, if Bjork is there, hope Lawrence is there. You could do that too, but Bjork I could see just pulling the trigger there. We'll see what happens. I don't know. All it takes is one team to be really interested in him. Yeah, but you were right about him as a center. It was an interesting concept, and it turned out to be the thing that actually happened. So there you go. Good for you. Would be fun if San Jose drafts Casey Mutrin and reunites the brothers. Dude, Casey Mutrin in San Jose would rock. That guy, like, his data profile is so funny. You can go look at the report. It's so funny. Like, his game, the guy that he reminds me of, and I'm only saying this because of recency bias and seeing him in the playoffs, but he reminds me of Keegan Kolzar. Like, you put him, he's your bottom 6 guy, you put him over the boards, and he will raise hell on earth. Every shift, he will raise hell on earth. And he's actually a pretty decent skater. And he gets around pretty good. And he can attack the net, be a gritty, greasy, greaseball nightmare for the opponent. And I like him. Everybody needs a Casey Mutrin, I think. And, I mean, he's the captain of the team in the U.S., of the U.S. national team. And I think that in a few years, you could be looking at a really interesting NHL hockey player. And in San Jose, he would augment that lineup, I think, in a really positive way. They don't really have someone like him out there that is at that level. Not really. It'd be sweet. Why is Galvas going to get passed over again in the draft? I think he has a mid-20s argument. Well, I mean, he's small and plays in Czech. I mean, someone reached out to me a while ago about him. And apparently he doesn't really have any interest in learning English. I don't know how much that matters, but I can imagine that does kind of matter. You know, like, you would have to make accommodations for that. But at the same time, like, Japanese guys play baseball with interpreters, and they have guys that translate for them on the team. And we've had Russians play who don't really speak English in the NHL before, so it's not unheard of. But I could see how that might be a bit of a, well, what's the point type situation. But maybe that's changed. Anyway, I would have drafted him 2 years ago anyway, so who cares? It sounds like McKenna's going to meet with Toronto to get to know him. Sounds like the interview's not testing. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I'd be putting him through the ringer. Like you're welcome to Toronto, man. We're doing interviews all the time. We're going to interview you a lot. We're going to interview Stenberg a lot. We're going to have, like, what are your 9 assistant GMs for? You're going to put you through the ringer. That's just the way it's going to go. Because it's not going to stop. The NHL comparisons are funny to me, drafting Keegan Kolzar at 21. Yes, but, like, you see the role of a guy like that. Like, I'm saying, like, that is what I can see for sure. Like, if it goes further than that, great. But he's been on multiple teams that go on deep Stanley Cup runs, and he's kind of come out of nowhere. Like, it's the NHL's really hard, man. It's a tough league. It's really hard to be good. Some of these first round picks might not even play a single game. So being a Keegan Kolzar sounds great to me. Yes, coach, I will go over the boards and smash everything that moves and forecheck and attack the net and make everybody mad at me. Yes, I will do that. Okay, Casey, go for it. Here's your 12 minutes of ice time. And he's going to go, yes, coach. Thank you, coach. Yes. I think there's value in that. Would I draft him any higher than I have him? No, not at all. No way. But he could be a fun one. And he's big. He's big. He's not small. He's big. So that means he's good. Don't we know that? Where would Marner in his draft year rank from the draft from what you remember? I barely remember, but it was a year I was poking around. Probably 3. Like after Stenberg and McKenna, probably, if I'm being honest. But that was so long ago, I don't really remember. Which draft class do you prefer, 25 or 26? 26, easy, 26, no question. Like, I looked at my list last year. I had, like, Cole McKinney at 32, and with all due respect to Cole McKinney, yeah, no. I like Cole McKinney just as much as the next guy, but that draft dropped off real fast. Yeah. Yeah. They can't all be Bills on all. I do think last year did have a lot of good players at the top, just like this year does. I think that might just be the case every year. The guys that I have in my top 10 or so are guys that I really like. Are they all going to work? We'll see. But they're all really good players right now. So there's that, you know. You're very high on Villeneuve. What do you think about his projection and lack of production this year? I mean, he produced quite a bit. From where he was last year, it's really hard to produce more, right? I don't really think about a player's production like at all. Really. If there is production, I wonder where it comes from. And if there isn't, I wonder why there isn't. But I don't really think about it or care that much at all. Aitchison or Rudolph? Aitchison. Easy. Aitchison easily. But anyway, like with Villeneuve, I think he has the fundamental baseline as a talented defenseman that skates. Like, if you watch all of the defensemen that get drafted at the top end of the NHL draft, and then you watch all of the top defensemen in the NHL who score and score and score and score and score, they don't play like Keaton Verhoff. They don't play like Chase Reed, really. They play like Xavier Villeneuve. Like, if Villeneuve, with the footwork and the explosiveness and the audacity to try the things that he tries, he plays an awful lot like some of the best in the world, and he's going to BU. Like, he's going to just about the best school a player like him can go to, and they desperately need a guy like him, especially now that Cole Hudson is gone. He's going to get every opportunity to push the envelope and try to be the best version of himself. And again, my thing now is medical. Just check up on him medically. But I think he's more advanced for his age than Lane Hudson was. And I've said that for months. I don't exactly understand why people are so down on him. Like, he was excellent at the under-18s in 2025. He showed extremely well at the CHL NTDP series. Like, he got injured and didn't quite look the same. And then in the playoffs, he was not great. So if that kills his whole career, then so be it. But yeah. Why was Marner not the problem? When did Toronto get cursed? Oh God. Toronto was cursed when Harold Ballard tried to put the Hamilton Tiger Cats logo at center ice at Maple Leaf Gardens. That, I think, is the curse that has affected the Toronto Maple Leafs. ever since. Why was Marner not the problem? Well, look, I think with the whole Marner thing, it's really frustrating and it's really tiring seeing people talking about it all the time. It's also very pathetic seeing Leaf fans like twist themselves in knots trying to cope, being like, I don't know what, but I mean, look, like what was happening in Toronto, it's not like it didn't happen. Right? Like everybody was watching those games and calling Mitch Marner a choker. Everyone was making fun of him for the dry hair clip where he's telling everybody to wake up. Everyone, even people who are doing victory laps now, being like, "Oh, see Toronto, like this is why you always lose." Oh, it's like, bro, you were on the bus for that. You were talking like that about him too. Everybody was. Nobody was there being like defending Mitch Marner. And I mean, it was pretty indisputable. Like Mitch Marner also, like the stuff that he's doing in the playoffs now, it's like not only was it stuff that he tried in Toronto, but the stuff that is actually working for him in Vegas is stuff that if it worked for Toronto, could have won them a series. Like how many times has Mitch Marner just kind of like carried the puck into the offensive zone, spun around and thrown it into the slot, and it just like deflects off of Sean Walker or something, or off of someone's stick and just bounces right in the net. It just happens. And it just did not see. I don't know. I don't remember that kind of thing happening for Marner with Toronto. It's not like they weren't trying to do stuff. It's just the puck wasn't going in. I don't know. And I think it's indisputable that in Toronto, like very clearly that group had a lot of problems when their backs were against the wall. Like I think they are the perfect example of a team that is gifted kids. They're very, very, very talented, but when their backs are against the wall, which they've never faced before in their life, they buckled, unless they were William Nylander. Now Mitch Marner is on a team filled with guys who have done the thing. They know what that's like. He doesn't have to be one of the core guys in Vegas. He is, but I think that's a function of his surroundings in Vegas being guys that not only, like, it's one thing for Toronto when they added Joe Thornton and all these other guys to like insulate guys like Marner. They're not Jack Eichel. They're not Mark Stone. They're not Alex Pietrangelo. They're not Shea Theodore. They're not these guys that have been with Vegas for years and have been there forever and won with that team. Right? Like, yeah, the environment in Vegas is less pressure, I suppose. But I think it's more so that, like, Toronto, Mitch Marner was the focal point of that team. Like, if they had maybe kept Nazem Kadri around, then maybe that's a bit more insulation. But even then, that's stretching it. So it makes sense to me that he goes to Vegas and is just ripping it all to pieces. And he's feeling great. Everything's going great. He's a member of a team. He's not the team. In Toronto, he was the team. Like, Matthews was good in the playoffs. I thought Nylander was their best player in the playoffs consistently. But in any case, to answer your question, it was Harold Ballard putting the Hamilton Tiger Cats logo at center ice. This is what cursed them. Penn State McKenna or Minnesota Knies or 25-26 Cowan rank. How good were they before the NHL? I don't know. I didn't see enough of Knies in that year to tell you. I don't know. But Cowan wouldn't be number one. Is Radivojevich the next Malinsky? There's an interesting thought. I don't think you can say that today, but maybe. Be fun. I like Radivojevich. He had a good year. The NFL has a concept of my guy prospects. Which prospects would be your my guys this year? I don't know what that means. Define it. And then we got to get out of here because it's late. I was defending Marner. I've said it before and I'll say it again. The problem is Matthews. I don't think that's true. Like, I don't think it's that simple. Like, what are you going to do? Trade Austin Matthews too? That's not going to make you better. I don't think that's true. The problem for me, if you ask me, as someone who lives in the area, has been watching this team since I was 5, the problem is that the fans are so crazy about the team that they stay every mistake, every bad game is lodged in their memory so deep that it comes out their butt. And that team just could not get it done. They went to the Boston series, I think, that they played after the Washington series was great. And I will not let anyone change my mind on that. They pushed that team around a little. And then the Boston Bruins ran them over. And they went, we need to be more like the Bruins to win. And I just think that was step one of a disastrous chain of events. And once they went, and then I think that the Columbus thing was the, oh, something is very wrong and I don't know how to fix it. Right? Like that was the series where watching that team, I just went, they just can't gain control of a situation. That was the problem. It wasn't Matthews. It wasn't Marner. It wasn't Riley. It was the group. They just could not take initiative, grab something, and dominate it. It just fundamentally was not, it was just not fundamentally in their code. They didn't have dogs, right? I think Nylander is one, but they did not have a group of guys where you could obviously tell from the moment the puck dropped, it was like, we are going to destroy you to win this game. It was always, we have our game plan. We're going to stay calm. We're going to let the game come to us, play our style. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. In the playoffs, that doesn't count. And maybe that's what radicalized me into my own strategy, looking at the draft, being like, skill? What's skill? Who cares about skill? I've seen skilled teams all my life, and they get into the playoffs, and then a team like Carolina comes along and just, I mean, Carolina's a decently skilled team, but, you know, don't get me wrong. But my point is, like, once the Columbus thing happened, that was when I kind of went, oh, you know? And then the Montreal one was the absolute, like, holy smokes, these guys just can't do it. Right? Like, they won series after that. Some barely, but it counts. But, like, that Montreal series was absolutely ridiculous. And it just really felt like once one lug nut on one of the wheels came loose, all of the lug nuts basically came loose very quickly. Anyway, so yeah, like I'm not saying it's impossible to fix, but what they did was definitely not the solution. You can't trade him. The rest of the league won't value. I mean, yeah, exactly. But like, I don't think that having Matthews on your team when he's a number one center that can score 50 or 60 goals, like, I don't think you can just boil it down to be like, well, no. It wasn't Marner's fault. It was his fault. It's like, no, I think like that doesn't, like, have you seen Mitch Marner with all of the room around him in the universe just flip the puck into the stands during this playoff run? You just blind, like, entering at the blue line and blindly throwing the puck behind him at the blue line and what, like, you don't see him do that anymore. Anyway, this isn't the Mitch Marner show. Is Shaklee Slamov's ceiling better than he might get credit for? I think there is a ceiling to him, but there's a very low floor. He's an interesting skater with a great shot. He doesn't really do a lot of the games that I've seen, but he's fun. My guy prospect is a player significantly higher than the general consensus. Generally, someone that you believe so high will be a great player no matter the round. Oh yeah, I mean, they're full of, my first round is full of them. Like, look at I've got Mathis Preston, according to Central Scouting, is a second round pick. On average, 24. I've got him at 6. Villeneuve, I have at 7. On average, 21. Also might be a second round pick. Who else is on here? Verdi Svensk might not even get drafted. Wiggle Sorensen might not even get drafted. Yeah, all Phil Kessel did was skate and shoot. That's true. That is true. There is only one Phil Kessel. There is only one Phil Kessel, and I think he was an underrated playmaker for the shooting reputation that he had. You know, like who else is here? Like, but yeah, there's a whole bunch of them, man. Casper Ustavar Carlson. It's amazing how quickly we've forgotten how good he was at the World Juniors as a fourth line rambunctious forechecker that killed a bunch of penalties and scored a bunch of shorthanded goals. And it's like, no, I'll take one of those on my team, sure. Even if I draft him in the 7th round and he plays 45 games for me and is a good just guy to have on the team, then I look like a genius. All Line did was skate and shoot, and then he stopped skating and fell off. Fair enough. I mean, yeah, like I think yeah, the Shakli Slamov, it's just that's the thing. He doesn't really do a whole lot, and that includes skating. But then once in a while, he just go bam, he goes. I'm saying the org being in a win now mode is the root cause, but if you're pointing at underperforming players, it was never Mitch. The organization, the Leafs should have been in a win now mode. Like that's not a problem to me. Like when you have Mitch Marner, Austin Matthews, William Nylander, all those guys right in their top years, what are you going to do? Are you going to wait it out? Like what's the plan? They kind of had to. They were good enough to win a lot of games. Now, I think they overpaid for the ways that they went about it for what they got. The Foligno trade and the Marlowe deal they handed him, that was a little bit outrageous. But I think that with Toronto, the root cause is all in here. They were a bunch of high skill, high confidence guys who had a game plan that was not working for them, and they did not know how to handle it. And then after a few times of that, they go, oh, it's happening again. Oh, this is gonna be a bad time. I don't know any other explanation. Like watching them in those games, they were gripping their sticks so tight, I'm surprised the graphite didn't melt. Like they should have had sticks made of diamonds at the end of those series because of how nervous they were playing. They decided they had their core and accelerated the rebuild instead of drafting enough to have a second wave of young players. Yeah, I mean, I agree that they paid too much for what they got, but they had, like, what are you going to do with a 22-year-old Mitch Marner, a 23-year-old Austin Matthews scoring 50 goals? Like, are you going to be like, oh, I'm sorry, we can't go for it because it costs too much? Like, you're a San Jose Sharks fan. The San Jose Sharks are a team that should start thinking about going for it. It is time. It's not going to get... Macklin Celebrini's not going to get any cheaper. All these guys are not going to get any cheaper. Like, I don't understand... Like, it's the same thing in Chicago. You can't be bad forever. You don't want to be the Detroit Red Wings. Right? And Toronto was winning games. They were a good team. And yeah, they gave up a lot to get what they got. And I disagree with giving up all those picks, of course, for sure. But they were kind of in a position to go out and do it. You got to play the cards you're dealt. And they were dealt a pretty good deck of cards. Like, otherwise, what are they doing? They're like, otherwise... You know? Otherwise, what are they doing? What's the point? There's no point. Like, yeah, if your team starts to turn a corner with the young guys that you've just picked up from being bad for multiple years in a row, your job is to make it better. Your job is to make the team better. I don't think you can afford to wait. I don't want the Sharks to be bad. Again, I get it. This is the draft channel. Like, this is an NHL draft channel, but like, I'm sorry, but if it's the same thing in Chicago, Connor Bedard's entire entry-level deal, that team has been awful. I think that's inexcusable. At the very least, this year, they should have really made a push of some kind. All the guys they drafted aren't going to play. Look at Seattle. They draft constantly. And here they are. Like, you know? Like, I get it if you're San Jose, like, yeah, there's no free agent defenseman. But I don't think, like, yeah, maybe you can wait a year. But I'm never, ever, ever, ever going to approve of an NHL team being like, let's continue to be bad. Like, you almost made the playoffs. Why would you go, I want Landon DuPont? That doesn't make any sense. That's an absurd goal for a team that barely missed the playoffs. For a while, it looked like they might do it. Like, yes, you need some defensemen. Sure. But I don't think the situation is like, are you going to go to Macklin Celebrini after the season he just had and be like, okay, we're going to spend one more year in the toilet? The kids are in their prime, man. What else are you expecting out of Macklin Celebrini? The guy could have won the Hart Trophy this year. like they're there. Like William Eklund was drafted, what, 3-4 years ago now? It happens quick, man. Like, you're good. Your team is pretty good. You had a bad finish to the year, but no, I don't know. Like, in Toronto's case, they made the playoffs the year they drafted Austin Matthews. If the San Jose Sharks made the playoffs the year they drafted Macklin Celebrini, and then all of a sudden they were like, we're not gonna keep pushing in that direction, then you're not doing your job. Look, clearly we disagree on this. If you have a good team with great young players on it, and you're making the playoffs or a threat to make the playoffs, your team is good. You cannot keep tanking. You cannot just be bad forever and just draft and draft and draft and draft and draft and be like, eventually we'll just crap our way into the playoffs by being bad. You know, like, I just fundamentally, if I were a general manager, it would be really hard for me to go down to the dressing room and tell Macklin Celebrini after the season he just had, yeah, we maybe could have made the playoffs, but we really want to tank another year. I think that's ridiculous. Yeah, like, I'm not saying you're done, but what I'm saying is you gotta march in the right direction. If your expectation is Landon DuPont as a San Jose Shark, I'm sorry, you gotta let someone else be bad. Like, you gotta let someone else be bad. Yeah, you might have a bunch of young players getting their feet going in the NHL this year, but like, good. Yeah, like, you've gotta just play the cards you're dealt. And I look at San Jose, and the last thing I'm thinking is Landon DuPont. That's the last thing on my mind. I'm going, holy crap, thank God we turned a corner. And also, thank God we had this second overall pick drop in our lap. Like, how lucky are we? Now, what do we do? Like, I think that's a significantly better position to be in than, oh no, we're good and I want another first overall pick. I just don't, like, I'm not saying you trade everything to get better now, you know, but you've gotta at some point, if you have, this is why you draft a lot, so that you have a lot of bullets to play with, so that when there are needs like a defenseman, You can make that phone call and fix that problem today, and your team gets better overnight without having to give up too much. That's why you don't draft for need. I just fundamentally, you cannot, I don't believe, especially after how long it's been for the Sharks, I don't believe that you can just keep just saying, screw it, let's just keep being bad. Like, not plan for improvement, especially in a year where you took a big step. Like, if your expectation is to be bad naturally, man, that's a tough sell to your owner. Like, okay, Mr. Owner or Ms. Owner, whoever owns the Sharks, I don't know. Okay, this year, I know we have Macklin Celebrini and he's a superstar. I know we have these other guys and they're all young and they're exciting and they're all superstars. But we still need to, we don't want to make the playoffs just yet. We don't want to make the playoffs just yet. I'd look at you and be like, what are you talking about? like, I don't know. I just don't think that's a reasonable expectation. I don't know. And I agree that Cagnoni, Mukamadulin, Polkamp, and Dickinson isn't a playoff defense group, but that's why you make moves to acquire guys that make you more comfortable in that position. I don't know, like, I can't believe that you wouldn't want, if you can so clearly identify a hole with your team, if you can so clearly identify gaps with your team like that, but you have so many draft picks that you've made over the years, and so many draft picks still to use, that you wouldn't just go, let's try to fix that problem, instead of let's just play all the guys we have, especially guys who have no NHL experience, and just like cross our fingers and like see what happens. When you have guys that are entering their early 20s and some superstars mixed in already, at least one. It just to me, I don't like seeing teams constantly bottoming out. It's also, I think it's just a bad environment. Like, look at the Blackhawks, the Chicago Blackhawks with Connor Bedard. Like, they've done nothing with him, at least on paper. So anyway, it's just, you know, how it scales back to Toronto. Like, I see what Toronto is doing. A high draft pick gets you closer to a cup than a first round exit. Okay. Like, if that's what you believe, then that's what you believe. That's okay. But I'm telling you, based on where that team was and has been in the last few years, you are, I think the expectation should be, we need to be better. I just don't see it any other way. Like, a first round exit, what are you expecting? Are you expecting once you add Landon DuPont, you're instantly going to go to a conference final or a Stanley Cup? Like, is that the expectation? Like, what is the next step? One more bad year and then a first round exit? Like, what is the goal? A second round appearance? Like, what, you know? In my opinion, like, if you see the iron is starting to get hot and you've got some gaps on your roster that you could fill, but instead of fixing it, you like hope that next year gives you another gift. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. I don't do it. Yeah, like, what if you could pry Adam Fox out of New York? That overnight makes your team so much better. And I don't mind a lot of the guys you mentioned. I mean, if it's Mukamadulin plus to make Adam Fox a San Jose Shark, you're doing that. You're doing that. Like, I don't know. And like, Toronto made the playoffs when Austin Matthews was 19. And they went, okay. This guy's a superstar. When his contract comes up, he is going to want the sun and the moon, and that's what he got. They just spent a lot. They spent too much. They spent too much to get what they got, and that's true. That's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. I don't. Okay, look. Clearly, we don't agree, man. If what you have is enough, but you also want to be bad again and bottom out again, then one of those two things is not going to happen. Like, I don't think. I don't know. I don't know. You have an opportunity. Like, it's right in front of you right now. You've done the drafting. You've done the suckage. Now you have a superstar on the team. Like, I'm not saying trade everything. Like, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying do what Toronto did. But I'm saying start making the moves. Start making the steps. Like, now you, like, I would love to see San Jose in the playoffs next year. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it. It would be Macklin Celebrini in the playoffs next year. Oh, who cares how young they are? Montreal is the youngest team in the league. Look at that run they had. Like, I would want that. Oh man, it would be so sick. I don't know. I just clear. Look, if you want Landon Dupont, then so be it. I do too. I would love Landon Dupont on my team. But if your team is starting to get better, you got to start pushing that process a little more or further. Like, look at the Ducks. The Ducks didn't trade everything. The Ducks played their young guys. The Ducks didn't trade everything they had. They just added some stuff, spent maybe a little too much on some free agents here and there. You know, sure. But look at where they are. They did quite well this year. And it was a pretty good experience for them. Like, well, that's the thing too. Like, Chicago, you shouldn't be out. Like, Chicago is arguably in a worse position than San Jose. Like, Chicago is still bottoming out. Like, they're talking about what was it? Like, trading, or like, they're still talking about having their centers be Bedard, Nazer, and Frondell. And I'm sitting here being like, that makes no sense. Like, why would you do that? Why would you, like, Frondell to me has always just been a winger, and he complements Bedard perfectly. Like, why? What is going on? Like, you could play Oliver Moore as your center. Like, what is happening? Anyway, I don't know. The point is, you can't be bad forever. And you can't constantly just be hoping, oh, one more first overall pick, one more second overall pick, one more top pick. Like, at that point, you're kind of getting annoying if I'm a fan of another team. It's like, oh my God, like, you already have, look at all these fun toys you already have. Like, you could have made the playoffs. Okay. You win. The average age of your core is 19 and a half. You can afford to wait. Fair, fine. If you want to be terrible, go ahead and be terrible. Just if I just think that the Sharks have been given a gift, and they did well this year. I think you've done all of the legwork to set the foundation, and you've got to look for something that gets you there. Like, why wouldn't you want a bit of playoff experience for your 20-year-olds. What's so wrong about that? You know? Chicago beat the piss out of San Jose twice this year. Okay. Sorry, I forgot that Chicago was an elite hockey team after this season. Whoops. Forgot. I don't know. If I were running the San Jose Sharks, the last thing on my mind would be being a lottery team again. That would just be the last thing on my mind. And if I'm Macklin Celebrini, that's the last thing on my mind. These guys want to win. All right, look. I gotta go. This is getting very tiring. Man, I just can't imagine being a San Jose Sharks fan and being like, no, one more year of being bad. I just can't see that. I just can't. And again, I'm not saying trade everything. You just need a few defensemen. And you've drafted a bagillion players. You know? If I'm thinking like an NHL general manager, my resume looks an awful lot better with a playoff appearance with a bunch of teenagers than without one. Even if they're teenagers. You can't envision how awesome it is to have these kids and want more of them. Yeah, I can't envision that. It's not your goal. They're not infinity stones. It's not the point. Well, it shouldn't be your Christmas anymore. The playoffs should be your Christmas. A playoff NHL game is so much substantially a better spot to be in for an NHL team than a first overall draft pick or a second overall draft pick or third overall draft pick. San Jose has 2 defensemen on the roster. How are they going to be good? They've drafted a billion players. They have a billion draft picks. Figure it out. You're paid millions of dollars. Figure it out. I'm not Mike Greer. Go ask him. You're a Chicago fan. You could say the exact same thing. Like, are you going to make a playoff roster with Ethan Del Mastro on the team? Or maybe Kevin Korchinski will turn it around? Like, with your... I don't know. But you got to figure it out. You can't just see how things fall and just keep being bad if that's what happens. Especially if there are signs of the team getting better. Would Ziv Buin be enough to get the second overall pick? Almost certainly no. I wouldn't take that trade. If you want... no. Almost certainly no. I wouldn't do it. And I don't think San Jose should be going out and getting him. Like, I don't know exactly who they should be getting. Like... I don't know. The point is, I also don't think that Vancouver would trade Ziv Buin within a calendar year of acquiring him for Quinn Hughes. Like, that does not seem like something that Vancouver should be rushing to do. But look at it. I gotta run. It's late. We've been going for a long time and talking about this for a long time. The way I see it is pretty fundamental. When I have a group of guys that I've been terrible for a number of years in a row, I also have a boss whose job it is to make money. And you make a lot more money in the playoffs than you do drafting first overall. If that iron is starting to heat up a little bit, I am getting involved. Because I want Macklin Celebrini in the playoffs, learning that experience as fast as possible. Obviously, I'm not saying trade everything. I've said that a billion times. You don't have to trade every draft pick, everything you've ever done ever. But you've done enough to have enough in the tank to see where things go. And see who's interested in whom and for what. That's all. Like, I was hoping the Sharks would make the playoffs this year. How could you not? They were so much fun to watch. Same thing with Chicago when they started the season good. It was like, oh, Connor Bedard is finally hit. He's finally here. As what we thought. Great. You know? I just see it as like, it's a good thing to see bad teams become good. And I feel a lot more comfortable as a general manager of an NHL team if I'm in the playoffs than if I'm, what is it, like, now it'd be, well, 20, what was it? How many years has it been for these guys? Like, check this and then I gotta go. Very late and I'm tired. And my brain hurts. Yeah, so like San Jose drafted William Eklund in 2021, so and then they had 11, but they traded down the next year. So they've been in the lottery 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years in a row. And they've drafted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10, 18, 28, 27, 35. Like, they've drafted like 50 times plus since 2020. Like, since the Ozzy Weisblatt era, they've drafted countless times. So, yeah, like, figure it out. You've had your fun, and your team is getting better. Sorry, but you're getting better. Didn't think that was a bad thing, but here we are. Anyway, I'm going to go. We'll be back Thursday afternoon, 2 p.m. Eastern time. Thanks for joining me. This was fun. We'll be back at it, doing the thing. And we'll see you, Thursday, 2 p.m. Again, we got reports coming out tomorrow and Wednesday, and then we'll be more, there'll be another one Friday. Again, go to the channel and set your reminders for everything coming up on draft week. It's going to be fun. What else is that? I mean, that's it. I guess that's it. And yeah, my brain is like half working right now, so that's good. Anyway, thanks for joining. We'll see you Thursday afternoon. We'll see you then. All right. Have a good one, y'all. See ya.